we're live now.
Yay!
Yay.
You
Hello, everybody.
motherfucker!
Hey. Wow, first F-bomb of the stream. Way to go.
Sorry.
Didn't even make it a
Kinda
minute
pain.
in. I love it.
I'm sorry, guys.
It was like a
welcome
solid
back.
10 seconds in.
We're not cutting that out either.
No, there is no post. There is no editing. You get what
10
you get.
seconds in, you motherfucker.
Yep. It's like one of those get what you get tattoos. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to The Weirdly Amused. Tonight we will be starting Campaign 2, The Recollections of Yig. I will be your Dungeon Master / Keeper of Arcane Lore. I am Brent. And let's do introductions. Alana?
For our characters.
Yeah, just introduce yourself and the name of your character. If any details you feel like sharing, you can go for it.
All right. I'm Alana. I'll be playing Elise. She is going to be in her young 20s. She is a widower, ? Married? Who knows? Not her.
She got a ring on her finger, though.
She does. She wears her ring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andy.
I'm Andy. Hi, I play Kai Kulani. I am a daughter of a, big jeweler business, starting to run the family jewelers. I'm in town to get some materials, get some pearls and gems and precious metals.
Ben.
My name is Ben. I am playing Cronus, and I am going through some things and have been what's the word I'm looking for? Ordered by the courts to go to therapy.
Yeah, that's right. In order to get your family house back.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the court conditions. Noah.
All right, I'm Noah. We're playing Conrad Jameson campaign. A former troubled kid who seems to be turning over a new leaf as the town's mechanic. So we'll see how that goes.
And then Ryan.
I'm Ryan, and I am playing Ace, and I am just a disgruntled late 30s cowboy going about trying to find justice, but not happy about doing it.
All right, I love it. And that will take us to our setting. We will be doing this in the year 1993 in a town called Midland, Texas, in West Central Texas. And players, I am going to go ahead and move us onto a little map of the city.
The fact that I know exactly where Midland, Texas is because of work is really upsetting me.
The fact that anybody in this group already knows that it's a real place is a little bit upsetting to me. This is, in fact, a real place in Texas. Don't read into that too much. Any association with real people's places or events is entirely coincidental, and this is a work of fiction designed to entertain and not to offend. So anybody from Midland, Texas, don't at me. Don't say there's no cults and, dark gods living in your town, because there might be. You don't know.
There is now.
Shit, there's an Amish cult in Ohio.
So the current time frame is June. It is mid-June, so it's a roasting summer evening. I'm sorry, afternoon still. I think we will jump in first with Kai Kulani. Do you see where you are on the map, Kai?
Enjoying the air conditioning in my hotel. Yeah.
Oh, not yet. So Kai, do you have an accent? Do you speak any kind of particular way before we start? I just wanted to make sure.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. So, Kai, you are in a chapel right now. I know it looks like you're at Midland Airport. Bear with me.
Yes, that looks
we'll
like
get
the
there.
airport.
You're in a chapel. The exact denomination of what kind of church this is doesn't seem clear. It's very dark. Colorful light streaks in through a window on one side of the room, and where the multicolored shafts of light cross the chapel, they almost seem to ripple and wave in the air. Uh, and at the front of the church, through the distortion, you can make out three figures. There at the end of the pews. They are a bride, a groom, and a clergyman who appears to be holding the ceremony. Go ahead and make me a perception check, please.
$15.
Okay. So right away, the priest is wearing a pale golden tiara. It seems to sit on their head in a way that makes you feel very uncomfortable. Like it doesn't seem like it should fit oblong and stretched out at one end, uh, but somehow it fits their head perfectly. In fact, snugly, despite the strange shape, and that seems to disturb you somehow. At the top of this particular narrow tiara, there's a rounded top, and it centers with a turquoise that's surrounded by tiny garnets. And in fact, the more you look at this priest performing the ceremony, you feel like he's different from you. You're not quite sure what it is, but he's not the same as you and your family. And the two people being married, one is wearing a beautiful white wedding gown. Because you rolled a 15, you know that these are your parents. This is your father and mother. What would you like to do? Just sit and
Am
watch.
am I dreaming, or is this real?
You're dreaming.
I mean, um, they're my parents, so I have to stay, I have to watch, but I really want to just back up a little bit.
Well, you haven't seen
And
your mother in a really long time, I'll say that. But they have their backs turned to you.
they're in the middle of the ceremony, is it towards the
Mhm.
end?
You're not sure. You honestly are having trouble making out anything that's being said. It echoes across the walls of the chapel, but what's being said is totally indistinguishable, almost like you got your head stuck in a pool and people above the pool are talking.
I'm gonna call out, "Mom?"
So the bride and groom look back at you, and you see your father's face. He's tall, powerfully built. He's very handsome. In fact, as you look at him now, it's really striking what a beautiful man he is. He's young, he's got this commanding presence to him. And as your mother turns and looks at you, she seems pale, maybe even sick. And as you focus in on her, you realize that her mouth is standing open. Uh, Her eye sockets are sunken in, and she has the appearance of a waterlogged corpse.
"Mom?"
And then you wake up, and you are sitting in your seat on a small passenger airplane of about 30 passengers, and the sounds in the cabin with you show you that you are in your final descent. The plane is now landing, and you have arrived in Midland, Texas. Because of your troubling dream, I'd like you to make the campaign's first sanity check, please.
Which is how?
So inside roll 20, roll 1d100.
84.
And what is your current sanity?
40.
So you have failed the campaign's first sanity check.
Wonderful.
Shit.
Let's see here. Please lose 1 point of sanity.
I will. I think waking up after the dream and looking out the plane and seeing no water, only like dusty fields and no blue ocean like I'm accustomed to. I hate it, and I go a little bit lose sanity.
Well, that could be worse. There is a big river, and because this is Texas, and particularly this time of year, it's pretty spicy out. You can observe that in addition to there being a lot of pools in all of the houses, several of the businesses have pools too. It's actually pretty common out that way. The town itself is not very big. It's some 80,000 people or so, which a lot of those, because of the businesses here, are not going to be permanent residents. Many of those are going to be people who are in and out for work. Standing population of the town is really only about 40, 50,000. About half of the people are really just here on business. And you're one of them. One of the few, in fact, that once the plane has finished the unloading procedure and you get all your luggage, there is somebody waiting for you at the airport. This is a chauffeur. And his job, he was holding up a sign that says Kai Kulani on it. I assume you're going to go up to him.
Yes, for sure. And do you have a name for him, or should I just?
He's just your chauffeur. He's
Okay.
not anybody. He's not anybody in particular. He's not like a company guy. He's hired just to work for the airport to take you to your hotel room.
Okay. I'm Kai. Let's head straight to the hotel.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am, right this way. He guides you to the car. It's honestly, it's nothing special. It's just like a '90s sedan, black, tinted windows. And he takes you through town. The airport's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You pass sort of the shopping area in the suburbs and the movie theater, and you arrive at your hotel room, which should be marked on the map for you to see.
Mhm.
It's up near the
Yes.
top end. So you do follow a main roadway through town before you arrive at the hotel. What you can tell right away is this is the nicest hotel in this city, or at least from what you've seen of the city, this is the nicest hotel. The pool is enormous. It has like an Olympic swimming pool set out. And the other nice thing is because it is the nicest hotel in town, there shouldn't be very many children there. In fact, for a significant part of the day, you would have the pool all to yourself, barring any unexpected visitors.
And that's gonna be the first thing I do. The luggage my suitcases get taken up from by the bellhops. I immediately change into a suit and start swimming.
Why don't you go ahead and describe Kai for me?
She has blue hair, like kind of like a mid-length bob that has some sort of wave to it, so you kind of get like the ocean vibes in there. Um, I wear a like kind of like if Jubilee from X-Men grew up and was a businesswoman and liked purple, that's what she's
Okay.
wearing. She's wearing like a shiny sort of jacket, um, you know, tan skin, um, has lots of like silver jewelry and necklaces and earrings. There's not a body part that doesn't have something on it. I have a necklace with the K like really embroidered and embossed and lots of different jewels. But of course, I'm not wearing that right now while I'm swimming. That stays um, that stays locked inside the hotel if I'm not using it or wearing it, I should say.
All right. The '80s were really recently. I just want to say that the '80s was recently, so all of that really colorful fashion is still quite charming for most people. So after you finish your swim in the pool, do you want to head up to your room?
Yeah, yeah. I think I have a meeting to get to. I imagine.
Uh-huh. Actually, you have a call waiting for you. Your dad is supposed to call you at your room, and that's only supposed to happen after you settled in. So I assume we'll just say swimming at the pool is absolutely part of settling in.
For sure. He knows what my habits are.
So before you hit the pool, obviously you probably went upstairs and changed. Your room, uh, it's going to be your room for an extended period of time. You're staying here for at least a month. Um, as you walk in, there is an office nook, kind of a desk where you can set up, or excuse me, where a small computer is set up because this is 93, so you'll be operating on Windows 3.1 on your little included office computer with your dial-up connection, so you can still hit the internet. You have a kitchen nook, complete with a refrigerator, a little stovetop with just 2 burners, a sink, a small dishwasher. There's a separate bedroom. It's a totally another room with a locking door that you can get yourself off from. Uh, and let's see, what else? That's about it for your room. Then the phone rings.
I steel myself before I answer it, and I'll say, "Hi, Dad."
Oh, yeah. This is Brian. I'm the hotel manager. Miss Kulani, it's great to have you. But actually, your father is on the line. I just wanted to say thank you. Um, thank you for booking American Inns. We just absolutely love your business. But I'll patch you straight through to your father. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you, Brian.
And you hear the line clicks over. Kai, Kai, my beloved, are
Hi,
you there?
hi, Dad.
Oh, my daughter. How was your flight?
It was fine. I do
Uh,
not tell him about the dream.
how about your room?
It's great. It has this really nice looking computer with dial-up. I'm gonna be excited to hop on the internet straight away after 10 minutes of.
Yes, exactly. I decided if you're going to be taking over the family business, having you connected was absolutely a part of the plan. I'm glad you're already planning to learn how to use the computers to maybe smooth things over with our new business partners.
Thank you,
Uh,
Daddy.
Also, I have set up your per diem account. You should be able to spend, and we're going to cut here because I'd like for you to roll your first finances roll also, which is survival.
This is a check or just a survival roll? Oh, it
This
has
is
to
a
be a roll.
check. Yeah. This is just a check. You get to add your bonuses.
23.
You should be able to spend $230 a day, which will not include your first ride from the airport to the hotel, but it's going to cost you basically everything else from here on out. Plan to have to pay for things. So I have you should be able to spend $230 every day. Um, Kai, I don't need to tell you this, but Texas is a very dry place. Don't forget, you have to stay hydrated. I'm given to understand the pool there in the hotel is very large. That should help you in terms of staying hydrated. But the per diem was very generous, and I wanted to make sure you could afford to stock your room with groceries and water. Uh, and also, you may have to do some traveling. I wanted to be sure that you could afford to get across town, maybe even rent a car. That's certainly within the budgets of a $230 per diem.
Yes, I'm thinking that the mines surely aren't across the street. I'm thinking a car is definitely going to be necessary.
They should be across town. So then let's talk about business, Kai. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Let's talk about our business, Kai. I will call ahead to let them know that you're on your way, but once you've finished settling in, you're to visit the Baker Mining Company directly. The man in charge is Vince Baker. He's quite amenable to the arrangement we have set up, but they have been harassed the last few years by a larger corporation, an anodyne deep earth mining, I'm told. They've also had some trouble with union thugs, and very recently, one of Baker's top employees was killed. Unfortunately, this tragedy has hit us as well. He was actually intended originally to be your primary point of contact. I'm afraid that with that employee's death, you'll have to be interacting directly with the owner of the company, Mr. Baker.
Who was this poor man?
I'm told that he was named Michael.
How did he die?
You know, I'm honestly not sure. I don't have the details. I
So
just
Vince,
know that he was who you were originally planned to be speaking with. He was actually their head of human resources.
but now it's Vince, the CEO.
Now you'll be dealing with Mr. Vince Baker. He's the owner. Actually, old money. I've known the man for several years now. He is known for making prudent business decisions. He knows what to buy, when to buy it, and where to go to put himself to work. He's a little bit old to be in this line of work, but I think you'll find dealing with him is relatively pleasant.
And what was the deal that you procured? What are they expecting from us? What were the any sort of terms that you had spoken with him?
Mostly we had discussed pricing arrangements, and as you know, the family business is in need of raw materials. And it is a certain outflow that his mines are capable of producing that we're looking for. When you arrive at the facility, visit his office. But remember, whatever he tries to talk you into or show you, the gemstones are not important. We can come by gemstones, however. Whatever it is they have, we'll make do. Um, the true value is in their gold. The deposit his facility works on is very old, uh, at least as old as our people are. Our work, the work that has sustained our family for centuries, the work your great grandfather began, it revolves around a mixture of silver and gold that maybe only Vince Baker's facility can deliver to us in the volumes we require now that our reserves are exhausted. Go to him, reveal nothing of the nature of our work, keep the specifics close to your chest, but as long as the gold and silver are evenly mixed, it's what we need.
Yes, sir. I will do.
I love you, daughter.
Love you too, Daddy.
I am so pleased that you are finally doing the work that has made our family great. I'll call you again in 3 days to see that your arrangements are satisfactory, to learn what you've learned about Vince's ore. In your downtime, do spend some time at the jewelry store. We have one set up in town. It runs itself without your needing to do anything, but it wouldn't hurt to keep up appearances.
Of course, and we need to make sure everyone locally is doing okay.
The humans can't know what we're doing, but yes, um, do participate socially. Kai, dearest Kai,
Yes, Daddy.
do yourself a favor. Go to a bar. Rub shoulders with the entrepreneurs and laborers in the town. I know you'd rather be
Why?
home by the Gulf. But the men who work in the land are hardworking and sturdy, and I'm told some of them are very handsome.
They're not our people. They're not ocean people. They're land dwellers.
Well, a father can dream of good things for his daughter, can't he?
I know. I know. You want the best for me. I need to be married. I understand. These
Well,
people, I don't.
I look forward to hearing from you again, Kai. I won't keep you.
3 days,
On ahead for
Daddy.
you. 3 days.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
Daddy. Bye.
And so that was your father.
I kind of like to stand there in place for a little bit, like just going over the conversation in my head. I have no sort of, even though I've never really brokered a deal before, this is my first time doing it. I'm, I'm more so intimidated by the fact that he wants me to be social than the idea of the idea of brokering a business deal.
Your
Um,
dad's always been really nosy. So
ever since
he's,
Mom died.
yep. And you can anticipate that that's probably going to be what he checks on most at the end of the 3 days. See if you've met anybody. But anyway, um, whenever you're done here, you can take a cab out to the mining company, or you can try and hire a driver if you'd like.
I think we'll do a cab today just to see what the fares are like, just to see what the ride is like. and then potentially get a drive back from somebody I meet at the mine.
You can get out to the mine for $20. Just $20. And that's a pretty long ride. That's a pretty long cab ride. And this is not a big city, so there's not so many cabs. In fact, you got to leaf through a phone book. So
Can I
you,
have the hotel call me one?
yeah, they'll do that for you. Absolutely, they will. It won't even require a skill check if you do that.
I'll call down to Brian and kind of.
This is Brian.
Hey
Hello.
Brian, this is Kai, room
Oh, hi, Miss Kalani.
1402. Hi, I need a car, a cab. Can you call me one, please?
Absolutely. How does neon sign taxi service sound?
That sounds great.
All right. And where will you be headed today, Miss Kalani?
Baker's mine.
Baker Industrial Headquarters. You got it.
Thank you, Brian.
I'll call you right back and let you know how long it'll be.
I'll be down in no. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that.
So about 10, 15 minutes pass, and he calls. He tells you that it'll be another half hour for the car to get out to you. And he's just going to pull it straight out of your account. He's going to tack it onto your room fee. The car comes and gets you, and as you can guess by the name of the neon sign taxi company, the taxi has a neon sign in the window, and it says occupied or unoccupied. And when you climb in, it says occupied. And he drives you off to Baker Industrial Headquarters. You may notice that your hotel is kind of on the really nice part of town, but it butts right up against the really busy part of town with all the restaurants and the small businesses. He takes you past the gorgeous houses, the great big ones, like the 3-story mansions and all that. And then suddenly you find yourself way out in the country, and you're on your way towards what looks like a giant hill. But as you get closer to it, you can discover that it's got like a pie slice out of it. Like one corner of this hill has been shaved out. And there's a big, bold depression that's, tiered like stairs that lead down into it, kind of like a pyramid upside down. But before you get all the way out to that hole itself, you can see that along the road, as it winds back towards this mountain through the kind of rugged terrain of the countryside, there are several large buildings and then tunnels that you can see currently with giant sized equipment going in and out of these tunnel apertures. About a mile down the side of the hill towards the wedge, there's several double wide trailers and parked trucks to move them. You do sort of pass the larger buildings on your way in, and this taxi takes you directly to one of the trailers, which appears to have been here for some time. And then he drops you off. And you are led to believe that one of these two double wide trailers is probably the building you want. In fact, it says CEO office on the door.
Look at that. That's exactly what I need. I'm going to approach the building, approach that door, and without knocking, I'm just going to go ahead and head inside.
It's not locked, opens right up. The inside of this double wide trailer is set up basically like a waiting room. It's exactly what you'd expect. Vince is sort of a strange guy to keep it like this, but the more you think about it, it makes a little bit of sense because he can move his office anywhere on the facility grounds that he needs it to go, and do so on short notice. In the small waiting room, there's reasonably comfortable benches on either side. There's a coffee table, magazines, and gentle instrumental music plays from a cheap radio on the secretary's desk. There is a woman sitting at the desk. She's wearing a jean jacket with tassels, a matching jean skirt, white cowgirl boots, and there's a hat hanging on a tack behind her. And she's got a little computer sitting on her desk. It's actually currently making those old school internet noises as she gets connected. She's also wearing a little headset. I say little, it's little for 1993, which is bigger than the ones we have. and she takes it off as soon as you walk in. She goes, "Oh, hi, sweetie. I'm Susie. I'll be right with you." And she click clacks at something on her computer and sets the headset down on her desk. And she presses a button on the little phone interface that she has there, and it sets off a buzzer, and you can hear it coming from the side of the wall behind her that you presume is going to be Vince's office. Susie's desk is an L shape, and her familiar Texas drawl is really warm and inviting. "You must be Miss Kulani. It's so nice to have you. Uh, Vince is just finishing up another meeting, and he'll be right with you."
Thank you, Susie. It's very kind of you.
And now we're going to cut to Elise. Elise, would you like to describe your character?
Sure. She is about 5'5" ish, 5'6", pretty average looking woman. Um, about mid shoulder length, maybe a little bit longer, just brown hair. She's gonna have a little bit of a drawl, but not too much. She's gonna have a little bit sunken eyes, like she's kind of sad. She's wearing a wedding ring. She's dressed very plainly, very humbly.
I will say, Ryan, pay particular attention because you are present for this. You can hear every word of this. We'll just get to you in a minute.
All right.
Elise, you have had a rough time. Mike has been missing for 2 months. The police don't seem interested in doing very much. It appears, by all accounts, that he has left town of his own free will. The only indicator of foul play is that his work truck, which he drove away from your home the day he went missing, it was found about halfway between Midland and Odessa. Odessa is a town about the same size as Midland. It's the next town west on the highway. They have a larger standing population, and they have fewer traveling business people. But in every other way, they're basically just the same size as Midland. If you wanted to go to like a nice hospital or something like that, maybe go find a really nice place to eat, you drive out to Odessa. And it appears, for all intents and purposes, that that's where Mike was headed uh, when his truck broke down. And whatever happened to him since then, nobody seems to know or care, except you. Um, let's see. The police do suspect that probably there was some kind of business in Odessa that took Mike there. Um, and the investigation, as they say, is ongoing. However, they have released the truck, and they've released it back to the mining company because they are the actual owners. It was sort of part of the package that they had with Mike to let him drive this particular truck. You have 2 appointments today. You have a little bit of time to get up and make yourself breakfast, but you've got to go down to Baker Industrial Headquarters and meet with Vince. You've known Vince for a long time. He's Mike's immediate supervisor, is the owner of the company. And you're really familiar with all of Mike's friends who would be mining company employees. Part of the thing that made Mike really popular and well loved was that he drove the trucks, taking people from the little workstation and break room down to the mine entrance. That was kind of how he got his start, and becoming friends with all the more rugged guys who worked the mines is why they chose him to be their human resources manager, because he knew everybody. And it's definitely been like a family oriented thing for this business that Mike has gone missing. And a lot of his friends have been reaching out to you and offering you their condolences. Nobody agrees with what the police are telling him. Anyway, you've got to get down to receive a message from Vince Baker, the owner of the mining company. He wants to say something to you personally. And then also later that day, you've got an appointment with Dr. Cooper, your grief counselor. And you'll have a couple hours in between to kind of get something to eat, maybe do a little shopping. But is there anything you want to do before you head to your appointment with Vince?
I'll make myself a real small, quick breakfast, but I don't really have much, an appetite. I'm just kind of picking at some toast, maybe. And then I assume, drive myself there, I think. Do I
Yep.
have?
You
We
do
do
have
have a
your own
family car.
transportation. You don't have to pay
Okay.
for it.
All right. After nibbling at my breakfast, washing my dishes, I will drive myself to Baker Industrial.
And this is something you've seen a million times. You pass the familiar buildings. There's the chemistry lab. There's the grinder that breaks down the chunks of rock and splits the ore. And then there's the little facility that serves as the break room and sleeping area. There's cots and stuff there. And that's where Mike tended to spend most of his time. But you do know that Vince's trailer has been moved down to this particular end, closer to the quarry. And as you normally would, you go on in, and Susie greets you. Oh, and she just, every time you've seen her for the last 2 months, you can just see the heartbreak in her eyes. Um, she knew Mike. In fact, she worked really closely with Mike, but it's you she cares about. You can immediately tell from the look on her face that she's much more concerned with the wife who's lost the husband than she is the husband who's lost. Um, Honey, I know all about it. We're going to send you straight in to see Vince. He kept his entire morning open for this, okay?
Thank you, hon. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Go on in. And she hits the buzzer, and the
And
door unlocks, and you can go straight through.
all right.
Vince is a short man. He's just past the age of retirement. He's 68. He stubbornly keeps up his role in the company. He worries that his legacy is going to fall apart if it doesn't have active supervision. He has short, yellow-gray hair, unusually small hands, like kind of creepy small hands. He's just heavy enough and old enough that he's got like folds in the side of his neck. It's almost like there's too much skin there. He has small, narrow eyes and kind of a small, hookish nose. But there's something about the way he has kind of a stubborn little twinkle in his eyes. He's still at it. It's like a feisty old guy, even though he doesn't seem to really be doing too well either. Oh, Elise, sweetie, come on in. It's good to see you.
That's good to see you, Vince. How you
Please come
been?
on in. Now, don't be shy. Have a seat.
Thank you, thank
Tell
you.
me, sweetie, how you doing?
I'm here. Police haven't been much help. They haven't done
Uh,
much.
are you still seeing Dr. Cooper?
I am, but I'm just not sure anymore.
Well,
I'd like some answers more than I'd like some counseling.
well, I certainly understand that, sweetie. I know she'll do right for you. After I
Mm-hmm.
lost Maribel, I had a really hard time coping, you know? Um,
Mm-hmm.
he reaches out and he adjusts the picture on his desk that holds a picture of Maribel, his wife. She's just been dead for 20 years now, but um, you can see he even tears up just touching the picture and thinking about it. Any old way, I called you in here because, well, Mac, he was he's like a son to me. I just I just know it in my heart. Something bad's happened to that boy. And there ain't no way he'd go on and leave town like that, not unless something was chasing him. You know?
Yeah. And that's what I've been telling the police, but they don't listen.
Well, some of the boys that used to drive up to the shafts, they all felt, real bad about everything. They loved Mike too. Everyone did. That boy's
Mm-hmm.
as good a people as there ever was, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, anyway, the boys, they've been putting in overtime, and, well, we all have, the whole facility. And the boys wanted to make a little extra to put that aside, and Ellie, we're giving it to you. We
Oh,
heard how the insurance company doesn't want to give you Mike's pension on account they ain't proved yet that, well, Uh,
oh. Well, I wrote.
any old way, they wanted me to give you this, and so here it is. And he reaches inside a drawer of his desk and he pulls out a carved wooden bottle. And if you are
Oh,
to look inside, would you?
yes.
Inside there are wrapped bills. This is a lump sum of cash money and it's about what Mike would make in 2 years.
Oh my good Vince. Thank
Well,
you
like I
so
said,
much.
the boys put in the work, and the company was over projection on productivity because they were all working the overtime. And until things get sorted out with the insurance company and we know what's what, we wanted to make sure you was took care of.
Y'all have touched my heart. Give the boys my greatest appreciation.
We will.
Thank you.
We'll let them know. And I know you probably got a lot of things to do today, Ellie. I don't want to
Mhm.
keep you much longer, unless there's anything you want to talk about before we get on.
I did have a quick question. Did you get his truck back yet?
Okay. I'm glad you asked, Elise. Ellie. Now, I want. It's the it's the darndest thing. The day before Mike went missing, we had an incident here at the mine. A couple of the fellas uh, went on that big strike that happened, and
Mhm.
Mike is the one who talked them down. But everything that the union boys have them asking for is outside of our reach. We just can't afford some of the things that they are wanting. And we
Yeah.
lost some good guys that day, and I wasn't quite sure how we were going to, stick things together and keep pulling this rock up.
Mhm.
And I'm, I'm ashamed to admit it now, but in a moment of weakness, uh, I tried to tap an old resource that, well, I haven't used in a lot of years. Let's say that, Ellie. Go ahead and make me a history check.
Okay. 30/20.
Ooh, that's definitely good enough. You definitely remember about 15 years ago, there was some business with a town that's just on the other side of the river from here called South Midland, Texas, which there is no real life South Midland, Texas, by the way. Just going to toss that out there. I made this one up. And they had a little bit of a cult out there in South Midland. They had a reasonable number of members. And in fact, the cult leader was kind of an inventor. And before he kind of went nuts and started the cult part of it, he had actually invented some kind of geothermal power plant. And it was supposed to have run Midland and South Midland both. But then, he went bananas with the whole cult and everything. And they never really opened up that geothermal power plant. Uh, anyway, you know, the South Midland geothermal plant, I knew the fellow that ran it. And he had left something for me in a deposit box in the bank downtown, and he'd said someday I'd be able to use it to help myself out of a pinch and solve all my company's problems. And well, after everything that happened with him, I figured I'd never even look into what it was. How on earth could it have helped? It's just a little bitty box, no bigger than maybe 1 foot by 1 foot. So unless it was money, I wasn't even going to look. It just didn't sit right with me. But then, with everything going on, I thought, well, might as well look into it. And so I sent Mike down to collect that deposit box. And well, turned out it was just some kind of prank anyway. It wasn't nothing. It was just some old superstitious mumbo jumbo.
Hmm.
And anyway, that's what Mike was doing the day before he went missing. And
Okay.
it, I just know it's nothing like him, but I wouldn't I wouldn't be lying if it hadn't crossed my mind that maybe, just maybe, he found something in there that wasn't religious mumbo jumbo, because that's just what he told me, Ellie. And if
Okay.
it was money and he goes missing, right, you see where I'm
Yeah.
going.
I
But
do. I do.
I knew Mike for 10 years. That boy was like a son to me. I just don't think he'd have done that.
Mhm.
But anyway, the cops weren't really looking to do much when we talked to them. There was nothing in the truck of any value, just some personal items. And it wasn't working. And we were thinking maybe if the police didn't care to look, we'd have a mechanic look at it ourselves. Maybe if we knew what kind of trouble Mike had on his way out of town, we'd know what was going through his head when he left.
Mm-hmm.
So, another old friend of mine had a son, and he's come back to town recently, and he's supposed to be the best mechanic we got. So, I've sent Mike's truck down to him, and I'm gonna have this feller take a look and see if he can figure out what it was that stopped her up.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
If you want to, you can get on down there after you have your business for the day. I think that the truck is supposed to be delivered a little early this afternoon. Maybe by
Alright.
this evening, the mechanic could know what to tell you. Then again,
Alright.
maybe not. But you don't, honey, if you want to leave that to me, you can.
I gotta go check it out myself, you know? It just,
I
I mean, even
somehow,
if to just get something of his out of there, a couple of quarters, you know. He always kept a couple quarters in his back pocket. But,
yeah, I get that too. I sure do. You got to make everything stretch that can.
mhm. And again, thank you, Vince. Give the boys my greatest thanks. I have to drop y'all a casserole off sometime. Thank you.
Oh, well, me and Susie will eat it. That ain't no lie. All right, honey. Well, I and just then there's a buzzer at the door, and you know that this means that Susie is telling Vince that there's another appointment. And if you would like, you can head on out now.
Yeah, so I'll be going on my way now. I see you got an appointment. Have a good one.
All right, honey. You take care now.
I will. Thank you again.
All right. And we're going to break there, and we're going to very briefly go back to Kai. And Kai, this is the moment in time where Vince has buzzed you in to come see him. And Susie says, "Go on through, honey. His last meeting's just on her way out."
Thank you, Susie.
And the door opens, and out steps Elise. And this is your first time interacting with each other. But Elise, do you remember what I told you about your special detection ability? I apologize. I may have overwritten it, but I recall discussing it with you.
Yes. She'll know. She'll have a feeling of an intense emotional connection or memory. So she can make a perception
check.
Okay.
Give me a perception check, please. Actually, do it twice while we're at it.
Twice. All right. A 13 and a 17.
All right. With a 13, you're not going to detect what it is that you can detect, but there's something happening in the room with Vince.
Okay.
Obviously, this has something to do with the emotional episode you guys have just had together as you've discussed these really uncomfortable things, but something is triggering your spidey sense about the conversation with Vince. Particularly likely that there's some kind of memory here that you can feel. There's something at work with Vince's past that's important. And the second one you definitely notice as you cross this blue-haired woman in the waiting room on her way into Vince's office. There's something mysterious and important about her as well. In fact, you may even say you have a feeling of fate.
I experience no such feeling, so I will just nod my head and step past her on the way to Vince's office.
You guys want to interact at all before you go in?
I'm just gonna give her a kind of strange look where, like kind of rubbernecking while she's walking in, just stop my tracks. And give Susie a kind of odd look. Like,
Well, the door shuts behind Kai as she goes in, and Susie says, "Oh, that's Miss Kai Kulani. Her father owns some kind of newfangled jewelry business. I think they got a store in town. And she's supposed to make some kind of deal with Vince and maybe even pull this company out of the gutter, depending on what kind of deal they land on, sugar."
oh, ain't that wonderful?
You know, there might just be some kind of bright future yet. Did you get your gift now?
Yes, yeah, Vince
Well,
gave it to me. Thank you
well,
so much,
bless your
sweetie.
heart. And
I
honey, if you want me to bring anything by, I know how it can be. If you need a casserole or if you need some of my famous macaroni pie, I'll bring that by.
I'd never say no to a macaroni pie. Why don't you join me for dinner some night?
Okay, honey. Well, I'll come on by. Well, heck, maybe I can even bring the boys by.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
We'll
Just love
make a
to
date of
see
it,
him.
honey. You just call up here tomorrow, okay? And we'll set something up.
I will. I will. Thank you, hon. I'll see you
All right.
later.
And we are going to break back to Kai as she steps down into Vince's office. Miss Kulani!
Mr.
Hey!
Baker, pleasure to meet you.
He stands up, he shakes your hand. He's got those weird little hands, old man hands, but so tiny, so disproportionate to his body. Uh,
It's
Miss
a pleasure
Kulani,
pleasure to meet you.
oh, it's so nice to have you on site finally. I've spoken so much with your father, I feel like he's my friend. Uh, now that we're finally face to face, tell me, what do you think of Midland?
It's very nice. My hotel was wonderful. It's much smaller than, than what I'm used to, but it's quite a nice place.
Yeah, it's a hell of a town. I'm from Mobile, Alabama myself. I gotta tell you, I miss the bayou, but the rocks up here are just worth more than the turtle shells and gator tails. You know it?
No, I completely understand. In fact, the rocks that you got here are exactly why I'm here too.
So, what can I show you today that'll help grace the wheels and with the deal your family's got going on with mine?
I love a tour of the place. If you have the time, of course. I'm speaking in a southern. Oh Jesus. Okay. If you have the time, of course.
It's gonna be
um,
hard. It's gonna be
yeah.
hard for everybody.
I'd love a tour of the place to see what kind of operation you guys have.
All right. Well, definitely we can set that up. I think I know who's I'm even going to send you through the mind with. Of course, we'll keep you above ground for now. Um, what was it specifically you wanted to have a look at today? Because we got more operation than I could show you in a single day.
So we were hoping to broker a partnership with you, my company, with yours, supplying our gold for our manufacturing.
Oh, the gold and the jewels, of course. My man Ace, he's one of my most reliable. He's going to take you on down to storage to look at what we have set aside, or even in the lab if you prefer. If you wouldn't mind, Ms. Kulani, I do have some other things for him today. So I'm just going to call him in here, and I'll phone ahead to Dorothy, let her know you're coming. She's in charge of the storage room. Sweetest peach pie, you'll love her.
Dorothy, okay, thank you. And Ace.
Ace. And so he gets on his phone. Yeah, it's Vince. Dorothy, I got a business partner coming back to look at the jewels in storage. She might want to have a look at the bullion as well. So make sure the paper's up to date and we have some bar out for her. She might want to take it back to the lab and get tested for purity. So let Chuck know y'all are coming as well, okay? All right, she'll be on her way shortly. Ace, hey, it's Vince. Come on in here. And at the back door, there is a little stairwell with a hand railing. And parked out by that end of the trailer is Vince's car, which is kind of a fancy Lincoln town car. And then there's Ace. Ace, if you would like to describe your character.
Uh, Probably about, I don't know, 6 feet tall, mid late 30s, just brown hair, kind of a beard, but it's clean enough, a little ragged, but cowboy hat on.
And this is Ace. This is certainly a typical day for you. When you're given your assignments, you can be out anywhere in town or even across country a little bit. But then there's a lot of days you also are kind of just at Vince's beck and call, especially since Mike's been gone, who, by the way, you knew Mike personally. You guys weren't necessarily friends. I wouldn't say you even worked together a lot, but he hired you. And you have definitely seen him around. You've definitely met him, interacted with him. This is something that's familiar to you because Vince has been expecting a lot from you in terms of digging up dirt on the Union, because between your talks with him, you've kind of gleaned out that his suspicion is this problem where Mike has disappeared has something to do with the Union, or maybe with this anodyne oil company who's been giving the company problems. And maybe that even those two entities may even be related somehow. That maybe the hit job from the Union is being financed by this competitor. Um, and so lately you've been spending your days uh, doing exactly what Vince tells you to do. And today he's asked you to step in to his office as he normally would. And you can just hear him through the door as you sit out on the stairs and kind of wait for him to have a job. You've heard both of these conversations. Vince somewhat secretly has you able to listen in on all these business dealings because you're here basically to investigate what's going on. So
All right.
if you'd like to go on in, Ace, this here is Miss Kulani, and I've got some other more things for you to do this evening. But for now, why don't you take Miss Kulani down to see the jewels and the gold?
All right. I didn't catch your first name.
I'm Kai. I walk over to shake his hand.
I will shake her hand and say, I guess let's go to storage.
All right, so you guys go out the back door. What do you drive, Ace?
I didn't think to look
Quick,
up.
let me Google cars of the
Yeah,
1993.
1993 car.
You can just make it up. It's fine. What just is it a sedan? Is it a truck?
I mean,
Oh, it's got to be a truck.
yeah, we're in Texas. I guess a pickup truck or something.
Everybody's driving a pickup truck in this campaign. Is it a company truck, you think? Make me a finances check, Ace. That's survival, yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
We'll call it a DC 16.
A dirty 20.
All right. Yeah, you have your own truck. You'd make plenty of money. You have no trouble affording your own truck. So this is not a company truck. In fact, this is not like a candy apple red. It's like that kind of undertone dark red truck. It's got the big cab in the back. It's got the extended cab, but unfortunately that does make the bed a little smaller. So it's probably like a Chevy or a Ford, something like that. Down home American construction. But
As we
American,
walk out to it, I can tell that it's definitely not from around, not a company car, and it's definitely a little bit on the more expensive side, I imagine, right?
Pretty sure I had a Hot Wheels of this as a kid.
rock and roll.
I love it.
Playing any music on your way? It's only like a half a mile down the street that the mine's built on.
I guess I just put on whatever radio station's probably playing in there.
Okay.
It's country music, isn't it?
Only if you want it to be.
I guess whatever probably 93 rock would be.
All right, so 93 rock alternative is what we're going to say that this is. As you guys cruise on down to what was that roll? What happened there?
Ben got trigger happy.
Oh, sorry, Ben. Okay, so you guys head on down to the storage room, and this is a part of the building that it surprises you. It's kind of a long, skinny warehouse. All the work here is being done by hand, except for what's done by running water. So what they have set up here is a long liquid a sluice, they call it, and it's set up with several small dams as it travels through this building. And traveling down the path is just a whole bunch of broken down rock, and some of it contains gemstones, and there are literally people panning in here. There's maybe 15 people standing along what basically is a liquid-driven conveyor belt, and they're pulling out chunks of rock and shaking it and hand picking it out. And down at one side, there's maybe a couple of small offices and other facilities associated with the building. And then there's Dorothy. Dorothy's 40 or so. She definitely appears like she's been with the company for a while. Ace, you know that she's the manager for this building. She greets you guys. She takes you over to a place where they have a large piece of brown paper stretched out across a huge table. And circled on it in Sharpie, there's a bunch of little circles, and in each circle is a little gem. And they have turquoise, they have amethyst, they have agate, they have even a little bit of diamond, ruby, sapphire. All of those things that are drawn on them, some of them with question marks. And they're doing this to kind of track the relative sizes of the gemstones. The amount that they have is one surprising. Actually, Kulani, Ms. Kulani, Kai, if you would roll me. Probably we'll call this another finances because this is what you do for a living, kind of.
Oh, not one. 7 total.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you have no earthly idea whether this is good or bad. Some of them are pretty. The amount that they have, you have no clue. But some of them look pretty. Ace,
Can I
roll
ask
me
Dorothy?
Absolutely, you can ask Dorothy.
I'll wait for after you to have Ace roll.
Ace, if you were to roll a finances, you're familiar with the company, and you can choose whether you want to reveal this to her or not. Maybe even roll me an insight to see if you can tell that she's clueless.
So what? Insight instead of survival?
Roll me both, please. Okay, so you know well enough to know that the word in the company is that this is really good. This is way better than expected. This is not what this facility specializes in. It's something that all facilities produce a really small amount of, but is usually meaningless in terms of income. Except this is like maybe twice as good as what you would expect. So it's like a little extra money you guys can make. It's good, but it's not what the company's for. The company's here for gold. And as far as insight goes, you can tell she's uncomfortable, but you don't know why. But you can definitely tell that she's a little bit unsure of herself right now, looking at these jewels.
And sorry, Brent, they're not real jewels. They're just drawings on a map, right?
No, these are real jewels, and it's like they've drawn a circle around them so that they know what they found, and they write directly next to the circle they draw in Sharpie what it is, and the actual stone uncut as it was sifted out of a pan by hand. So they look like rocks. But you can see that over where the people are sifting, they're taking little UV lasers. They did, in fact, use lasers. I know it sounds high tech, but it's not. They shine them over these various stones, and if they sparkle a certain way, they know what kind of stone they are. So these are actually the stones. Presumably, this is how this is done. This is actually how they do it. But other than that, you're just left to basically believe what they have written on the board, and they have agate. What did I say? Agate, amethyst, a little bit of diamond, some
Turquoise, I think you said.
turquoise, which is way less valuable, way more. All of it's pretty common except for the sapphires, rubies, and diamonds, which are a little bit pricier. But that's what there's the least of.
I want to
Anyway,
ask Dorothy about, just from what I see on the map, I can assume at least that this was all found on this mine. So I just want to confirm with Dorothy. So all of these are
um,
found here.
yeah, that's right. So we have two operations. We have an above ground mining operation. That's the pit. And then we have a deep earth mining operation as well. We have digs one, dig two, but dig one's just the way down, dig two's the way up. And pretty much everything you see here is mixed crushed rock, comes from both the above and the below ground parts. it's impossible to say what comes from where. Truly, a lot of it goes through the same grinder, and gemstones we just pick up out of the crushed rock after we've after, when we a lot of the rock we pull out of the ground is just rock that we're on our way to the gold, and all that is where we pick up the gemstones. You take a sample or two if you want. You can have 'em.
Sure, I will pick up a piece of turquoise and a piece of amethyst.
Okay, and if you head on down to the lab, Ace here will show you where to go. Dorothy is heavy set, blonde hair, big legs, big, kind of a muscular woman, you may say. Doesn't seem very friendly. You won't see any gold. I think
Yes,
Vince
I
Vince
would.
said to pull
Yes,
out some
please.
bars for you, and she takes you back to another area of the same facility. And on a little table, she has 3 bars of gold. And this is like the bars you would expect to see in a movie. They're about the size of a pop can. Just little bricks. Go ahead and roll me another finances check. And I think from you or Ace, or you can give her the help action or give him the help action. Let me take a look here.
I rolled a
Also
4.
roll, also roll me a nature/science and technology, and that's the one you guys can put your heads together on if you'd like.
Their power combined.
However, you can both roll
I'll
if
take
you want.
advantage.
Okay.
What the fuck?
All right, we're winning. That is plenty high enough. Just the general process by which gold is manufactured. They get out the rock that's high in gold. They grind it up really fine. They use acids to dissolve it. Not very good either.
I just had
After
to roll
this,
for curiosity's sake.
I understand completely. After they melt it down with acid and they get a liquid out of it, they boil the acid to a certain temperature, which melts the gold inside of it. But the process by which they do this, and this is real life true, they can't really separate the silver from the gold. These chemical processes that they go through, gold from pretty much everywhere. That's what they call micro gold. Means it comes out of the rocks. It's not like a vein of pure gold somewhere. Uh, it's usually about 10% silver. So almost all gold has a silver impurity to it, but it's usually very low. What's particular, you may remember, Kai, is that you're looking for an even mixture, 50-50. And your father has told you that that's something to look for at this particular facility. And here are these 3 bars of pale gold sitting here on a shelf. They're stamped on the top that says their weight, which it's in kilograms, but you probably both know it to be about 50 pounds. Furthermore, if you go over and try and pick it up, it's a 50-pound brick, the size of a pop can.
And these bars are 50-50?
You can't tell that from here, especially not with a 13.
Dorothy, I believe Vince said that I could take these as samples.
Well, you can pick them up, sure.
Can I try to pick one up?
Give me a strength check. It's very small and very heavy, so it's a lot more difficult than you would anticipate either
A
way.
-1. Oh, strength check. Yeah, -1.
Roll it up. Let's see where we land.
I got an 18. 17 total.
You can absolutely pick this up, but it is a struggle. And in fact, I mean, this is something that you pretty much have to use your body from your waist to your shoulders to pick this up, but it's the size of a pop can. So once you're holding it, it's really not so bad, but picking it up off the table is like impossible. You have to like scoot it to the edge of the table, put your hand under it, and then shove it off onto your hand. And then you're like, oh, geez, this thing. And all right, take it on down to the lab and they'll give you a scrape test. You guys feel free to look around. I'm going to go catch a cigarette. So Dorothy leaves you guys, and Ace, this is typical for Dorothy. Dorothy doesn't really do so much. She just kind of keeps the storage room in line, if you will. And furthermore, these 3 bars, this is like all of it,
All of it, all of their gold
all of their gold
in these 3 bars.
in these 3 bars.
Oh no.
Each bar is worth $12 million.
Okay. But how many? So like
Okay.
for the purpose for the purpose of making
Yeah.
jewelry and furthering our business, are these three bars? If this is all the gold that they have, this is not going to cut
Your
it for us for our purposes, will it?
your business would run on these 3 bars of gold for the rest of your life easily.
These bars are great.
Now, they
Um,
probably produce bars like this maybe every year. You would say that probably the fact that they have 3 laid out is some kind of indicator to you that they have 3 that they haven't sold.
I wonder why they're not selling it.
It's up to you to decide.
I'm going to ask that to Ace. Ace, how come they have these 3 bars? No one's claimed them yet.
Ace, you would know this is typical production for this facility. It's a high yield, believe it or not. This is quite a bit. $36 million of gold coming out a year is not bad for any company. Not bad by a long stretch. You do know that the operation costs almost $36 million a year to run. So while this is a pretty good yield for the size of the mine you've got, the company is spending most of it. So while it's really good, the company is in danger. Vince doesn't really make a lot of money. You guys are all really well taken care of in terms of your wages, but that's eating up the company's money. That'll go through 36 million pretty quick. However, these 36 million are still here to sell, which means this would be another year of the company staying running if you can get them sold. You might be a little bit uncomfortable that this woman is carrying $12 million in her hands right now. 50 pounds of $12 million
I'm
in her hands.
about to drop it.
And I'm
So if you,
kind of eyeing suspiciously like the moment she picked up everything, and I'd probably just be like, shrug my shoulders and be like, Vince must be trying to find the best deal for us.
Ace, you do know that there's little handbags they make specific. Not handbags; they're like a briefcase. They make specifically for this, and you've got several sitting on a shelf in the storage room. And it's just rude that Dorothy hasn't pointed this out. They look like an ammo case basically, but they're designed for carrying bullion. They would hold 2.
Hold on, let me. I
But
don't have
there's
a
no
die.
reason to take 2.
Uh, how bad? Can I see how bad she's like visibly struggling to hold the
You
bar?
100% can see that she's struggling to carry this bar of gold.
Let's be like,
He's thinking. He's trying to decide if he wants to be a dick or not.
While you're deciding, we're gonna cut.
all right.
We're gonna get the other characters a little bit of time, and we'll come back to you guys when it's time. So, Cronus, uh, you are standing in your old family house. This is not reliving a memory through magical means. This is you remembering it. In fact, you're in the hallway. This is the second story of
I'm
your
not
family.
physically. I'm not physically in it. It's just a
Uh,
memory.
you are currently, at least in your mind, standing with your eyes closed in your family's house. You're in the
Okay.
second story, away between your bedroom and your daughter's bedroom. And roll me a perception check.
11.
You hear something coming from your daughter's room.
I walk in.
The door resists somehow. And it
Do I
feels.
do I recognize what the sound is?
You can roll again now that you're wiggling the door handle, which, like I said, it wiggles, but it's not locked. It's almost like you don't know how to open it.
16.
You can hear that it's the sound of your daughter choking. She's struggling, coughing.
I start shaking the door like extremely hard. Jenna! Jenna!
It's okay. It's okay. Mr. Harmon, you just go on in. Tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what you're feeling.
I can go in now.
Now you can go in. It's like a burst of rational thinking comes across your mind. It's as if hearing this familiar, soothing voice telling you what to do makes you get the courage in your heart, and you know that the only thing keeping you from opening the door is fear. And it allows you to twist the doorknob and push the door in and walk in. What are you seeing? Tell me what you're seeing, Mr. Harmon. And as you look in your room, or in your daughter's room, you're looking at the window that overlooks your backyard. And in the backyard, there's a tall oak tree. It was one of your favorite features of this house. Out behind it, there's a little bit of dusty scrub that maybe could be turned into grass. That was something you'd planned to do to make it green and beautiful. But tonight, it's windy, and all you see is dusty grass blowing in the wind, tumbleweeds rolling across the sandier parts, and the rope swing that you installed just yesterday is blowing in the wind. And as you look past the window, you see that the cords that allow you to raise and lower the blinds to your daughter's room wrapped around her neck. And she's blue in the face. She's clawing at her neck, trying to get the cords to unwind from around her neck.
I rush
And
over and
make me a perception check before you do that.
perception.
Or if you have a better arcana, you can roll an arcana.
Okay. 23.
Definitely good enough. There's a shimmer coming off of your daughter's body. There's little flecks of bright green light coming out of her skin, and you can see that they are being drawn in a tether into the cords that are wrapping around her neck. And she's being caught in the blinds and strangled, but you can also see that her spirit is being pulled out of her by them.
I try to I start speaking Latin, and glyphs go around my hands, and I attempt to try and pull the rope off, knowing that it's something magical.
Is there any ability you would like to use or anything you'd like to do? Or just reach in there with your hands and try and pry it open? Or try and pull it off of her? And in Latin,
I'm
I assume you're
trying to.
praying.
Right.
If you want to make a religion check, I'll let you pray to do it.
Okay.
We'll call this a DC 18. This is going to be hard.
I got a 17. She just barely missed it.
So you can feel that saying religious things in Latin has an effect. It definitely creates an impact. In fact, to the point that you can tell that there is an entity present and that it is frustrated, maybe even impressed. But when you reach out to touch the cords, make a constitution saving throw.
Oh God. Okay.
Ooh.
What'd you roll?
Natural one.
Ooh.
Oh no, you definitely fail. So you're level 1 because you're just dreaming right now, but you take a significant amount of necrotic damage, and it is enough to incapacitate you. Mr. Harmon, what's happening?
I'm
Tell
unconscious.
uh, you're about to wake up, but you do have the opportunity to at least describe what's happening to you, as you are under a kind of hypnosis and you're being tasked with reliving this troubling memory.
Um,
You
oh,
also don't have to. If you don't want to tell your grief counselor what happened specifically, you don't have to tell her.
um, as I'm coming out of this, I'm coming out of the hypnosis, right?
Yes.
As I'm coming out of the hypnosis, I just lean forward, sweat coming off of my face, and I just light a cigarette. I don't say anything.
Cronus, you know I hate it when you smoke in here. You may be determined to throw your life away because you feel guilt, but you don't have to take me with you. And this is your grief counselor, Dr. Cooper. She's a small, bookish woman with black hair, big round glasses, and kind of a really plain way of dressing. She's a divorcee. She likes to wear pale, tight-fitting jeans, ribbed sweaters. She keeps her chair or her hair in kind of a chin-length bob. Um, you've heard a couple of rumors that she's a little bit on the promiscuous side, and you suspect in your familiarity with her that she might even be promiscuous with clients from time to time. That's but her kind of dry mannerism makes you feel like that's you're kind of curious as to how this would even happen because she's so serious. Um, I have to keep referencing your last name because I just learned it. Harmon,
Mhm.
Mr. Harmon. The only way for you to ever get over things that have happened to you is to tell me about them. There's just going to be no way for me to even psychoanalyze you if you won't let me in. If you want, we can we can try and go back through this memory again. We can wait till next time, or we can sit here and sulk. You can ruin your lungs, but if you won't talk to me, there's nowhere else we can take your treatment. I can't give you a clean bill of mental health.
I've told you time and time again what happened.
Well, walk me through it one more time. Close your eyes, lay back. You can keep smoking your cigarette.
He takes the cigarette and rubs it out on his the heel of his shoe and puts it in his shirt pocket.
Classy. So you're in your house. You hear your daughter choking. You open the door. You go in. She has the blind cords wrapped around her neck. And then, so you're back in the room.
The
You open the door. You go in. You see your daughter choking. You start praying in Latin. You feel that it has the reaction. You are immediately aware that this is something alive. And as much as you struggle against it, you feel that it pulls your life force out of you too. But just before you lose consciousness, just before you feel this thing sap the last of your vital essence, the twinkling green lights coming out of your daughter suddenly rush out of her. And it's as if it creates an apparition, a floating specter, and it actually is your daughter. And she is pulled into the cords, and then the cords erupt into a fireworks display, just the same glittering green color. and it shoots off into the air, out into the night sky, turns into a long tendril like a snake, and blows off in the wind. The cords go limp, and they can't even hold your daughter's body up anymore. They just give way, and suddenly they're normal cords again. And your daughter falls, and she lands right next to you as you pass out. And in that last moment, as you're looking at her, you know that she's dead.
I don't even know what happened. There's like 1 minute she was alive, and the next it's like the soul was ripped out of her.
What do you mean when you say the soul was ripped out of her?
That's what I mean. It's like the very essence was just taken and sent somewhere.
Mr. Harmon, did you see her ghost? Did she call out to you? Did she get herself free and pass out? Did you see anything? Was there
She just went limp. The cords.
There was no attacker?
No.
You didn't untie her?
I attempted to, but it's like whatever was trying to take her tried to take me too, and I somehow resisted it.
I think that you have survivor's guilt, Mr. Harmon. And what we're going to do in this office from now on is we're going to try and understand why it is you need to come up with a delusion to cope.
I don't have a delusion. I saw what happened.
Mr. Conrad.
Something took her.
Mr. Harmon.
Something took her.
I know that these things can be really convincing, but this is a place for healing, not a place for ghosts and boogeymen.
You know what? Piss off. And I get up and I go to walk out of the room.
All right, Mr. Harmon. Well, if you want to come back, your next appointment will be next Tuesday. It's Tuesday today.
Okay.
As you leave her office, you can hear that she's dissatisfied, but also this is not the first time this kind of thing has happened. You pass the receptionist, who doesn't say anything to you because she's already learned by now that you are no fun. And you know her name is Margaret. She is kind of pretty. She's a little bit younger, actually a recent college graduate. But you can hear her scribbling something on her notebook as you go past. I assume you pull the cigarette out and light it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a good time, since it was stressful, to jump back to Ace and Kai. And Ace, you were deciding what kind of witty retort you would have for your new friend.
I just go and grab one of the briefcases. Just be like, this might help you out a little. And just hand it to her.
It's got a little buckle on the side.
I fumble and try to like crook the gold into one elbow and then try to free my other hand to take the briefcase, eyeing him a really, really dirty look, like you knew this the whole entire time and I've been struggling like this since I picked it up.
Holding it by the handle of this little briefcase makes it so much easier, because it's just like there's dead weight hanging like a grocery bag almost.
I give him a curt thank you.
I just kind of shrug it off like whatever, man.
Ace is a real hero. Good old
real hero.
Real good old boy. So you guys, I assume, are going to go to the lab and get the gold tested.
Yes, that is a priority of mine for sure.
Ace, you take her over to the lab. It's a little nerdy guy named Chuck who runs the lab, and he offers to do the scrape test for you. But Ace, you actually got to get back and see Vince, because remember, he had some other things he wanted you to do, and Kai is going to be a little indisposed dealing with Chuck and getting that gold tested.
Thank you for the tour, Ace. I appreciate you um, taking me here.
I just kind of head nod that way, give like a what's up to the lab guy, and then just leave.
Hi, Ace. See you later. Now,
A
right this way,
charmer,
Miss
that
Kyle.
one.
Well, let's this is really not too much to do here. All we really have to do is take a little scoop and scoop off some gold, and he
Thank
takes
you,
you through
Chuck.
the whole process. But we're gonna follow Ace actually. So Ace, you get in your truck, you drive back to Vince's trailer, and we'll keep this part pretty brief because you don't need to have another conversation with Vince. You've known this guy for like 6 years, 5 years, something like that. But Ace, listen, Elise left here, and she's like a daughter to me as much as Mike was like a son. And one of the three things I want you to do for the next couple days is watch out for her. I sent her down to that Conrad's garage, and she's going to probably want to pick up that truck tonight. So when you get down there, after you take Miss Kulani out to see the ore, see the jewels, maybe take her back to her hotel as a friendly gesture if you're so inclined. If she has other arrangements, you better do whatever she wants. Then why don't you head on down to Conrad's garage, check in with the boy there, see what he's dug up on the truck, uh, maybe smooth things over if any police officers are snooping around because Conrad's got kind of a bad reputation. But I knew his daddy, and I think the boys really turned it around. And I want you to make sure the police ain't coming for him because they could be knee deep in this thing. You could put lipstick on a pig, still looks like a pig, you know?
I just nod and say, "You got it."
And when you're done there at Conrad's, hang out there. And when Elise shows up, I want you to keep an eye on her too. All right? And if you have time, if before you go home, if you want to maybe do a little snooping and make sure Miss Kulani doesn't have some kind of business with Anodyne Deep Earth Mining Company, remember, I want you to make sure she don't have none connections with them, because that's the last thing we need is kick that hornet's nest again. All right,
What
get
was
on
the
out there.
what was the company name again?
Anodyne Deep Earth Mining Company. Anodyne, Anodyne, Anodyne Deep Earth Mining Company. I've told you once, Ace. I've told you a million times. Gotta listen when I'm talking.
I just go, and just turn around back.
So, are you gonna take? Are you gonna offer to take Kai back to her place?
I guess I'll go back down and see how she's doing with the gold guy to make sure she's not doing anything suspicious.
So when you get there, Chuck is in the middle of explaining to her the exact process of breaking down the ore that you guys dig up and what acids break down which different rocks, and how they beat it up with metal stones to grind it down. But Kai, you have confirmed that suspiciously even this gold is exactly 50% silver, 50% gold. That's the reason why they can't sell it. While this is 12 million, these bricks should be worth 18, maybe 20 million. They're only worth 12 million because of how high the silver content is. That's one, very unusual. Usually it's somewhere around 10%. And two, very good for you. It's cheaper and it's what you want specifically. Your family hasn't been able to have this exact mixture from anything that they didn't melt down themselves.
I am giddy because this is it. This is exactly what we need. And I'm excited to get out of here and talk to Vince to get this sale done, I think. But I'm also, my eyes are kind of glossed over listening to Chuck's explanations go on and on and
Yeah,
on.
he's really long-winded. And Ace, you can save her from this if you want, because you are familiar enough to know that Chuck will go on and on and on about this forever. He has tried to do it to you before. Now you can let her suffer and let this guy talk her ear off, or you can go in there and remind him that she has other business to attend to, and more importantly, so do you.
I guess I'll just go in and be like, well, I'm having a total brain fart here.
You're fine.
I guess I'll just go in and be like, Kai, do you need to go somewhere? Do you need to leave? Can we take you out of here?
As wonderful as your company, Chuck, I actually need to talk to Vince. So if you don't mind.
Well, okay, I understand. I'll tell you what. I'll take this bar. I'll take it back to Dorothy myself. Um, takes the briefcase. He laughs because he really struggles with it too. He sets it up on a big plastic cart, and he wheels that down the ramp. And starts pushing it across the gravel road to take it back to the storage facility.
Thank you,
He
Chuck.
did leave you with the sample printout that shows the composition so that you can explain it to your father later if you need to.
I'll put those in my briefcase.
Do you have any other business in town? Anything else you want to see, or just want to go home?
Well, I do need to talk to Vince to finalize this deal and finalize the sale. But I don't know if he's busy. I'll ask Ace if Vince is still in his office and willing to see people.
I just spoke with him, but I didn't hear a bell after me, so go check. I'm not sure if he left for the day. And as we're, I guess, walking back there, I'll be like, sorry about the briefcase, but you're welcome for saving you there.
He's enthusiastic about science.
He doesn't get much company down here.
He really,
can imagine
really
why.
doesn't. There's a team of about 10 engineers that he shares a building with, and they spend pretty much their entire day on computers of their own, and nobody really bothers with the chemistry lab. Once they've kind of identified the rock, he doesn't have to do a whole lot. He's more of a supervisor, as it so happens, just because he's not super valuable in any other capacity. Right now, when they open up a new dig somewhere, he may have to be really involved again. But anyway, Ace, you drop Kai off at Vince's trailer, and she's free to go in and make some more business arrangements with him. But it's about time for you to head down and see Conrad's garage. I would say that it's a little bit past 1 o'clock right now, and the truck was supposed to be delivered to him at about 1 p.m. It'll take you about maybe 15, 20 minutes to get down there. It's across town from you, so.
I guess I'll just escort her to Vince's office and make sure that he'll take her in, and then I'll just disappear back to my car.
Oh, yeah, go on in. Honey, he ain't seen anybody else for the rest of the evening.
I turn around to thank Ace.
Honey, welcome back. Did you see anything you like out there? And
Your
you can hear
operation's really nice.
Ace, you can hear the conversation go on, but we're not gonna go hang out with Vince anymore right now. So you get in your truck and you drive down the main road through the nice part of town. Unfortunately, because of where Conrad's garage is located, you got to go all the way to the west side of town and all the way to the south side of the town. You got to cross the river and then come back over to the center part of town and then back across the river again on a different bridge to get to Conrad's garage. Out here, there's a giant tire facility where they make the iron mesh that they put inside tires to make them more durable. All the car lots and such are on this part of town. And settled in between a big car lot and a storage facility is a respectable sized garage. It's certainly not the wealthiest place you've ever seen, but it's honest work. And a man can't afford to run such a garage on a small amount of money.
It ain't much, but it's honest work.
Conrad, maybe you have some descriptions of the facility where you work, what kind of place this is, any aesthetics?
Yeah, so this is just your run of the mill small town garage. It's got the big sign up above it that just says garage. And on the outside, it looks kind of just, it fits the aesthetic of the town. It's a little bit run down, but not decrepit, just older. We got some of the siding that's chipping and peeling off, but you can tell it's seen its fair share of tires come through. Inside, enough space for probably 2 cars side by side, and then enough room to work around them. Uh, Gravel lot for parking, nothing too fancy. Just one light out front in case, it gets dark. And looking in, you can see that there's like an upper section that's presumably the office. Just stairs up to an enclosed, like 10 by 10 room. Nothing crazy. Then I assume the truck's in here.
So, Ace, as you pull up, there's a tow truck that has backed into the left lane of the garage. There is a pickup truck, a company pickup truck that you presume to be Mike's. It's still attached to the tow. The tow truck driver is sitting out front, parked on the street, right next, or excuse me, at a right angle from the tow truck, almost blocking the tow truck from pulling out, but not quite, is a police cruiser. And it appears that the tow truck driver and the police officer are both engaged in some kind of a conversation with what you presume to be the garage mechanic. Would you like to describe your character?
Yeah, so Conrad's on the young side. He's in his mid-20s. But you wouldn't really be able to tell from that. He looks a little bit older for his years. He has like long, not really dirty, but just he's been working all day, so it's a little sweaty and greasy hair. Comes down to about jawline, like a dusty brown color. As of right now, tucked back behind his cap. Got just old worn jeans, gray t-shirt, has a little bit of oil stains here and there on it. He just has a oil rag that he's trying to get something off his hands with. And he's trying not to be loud with the police, but he's definitely getting a little irritated. It seems almost like he knows this police officer by first name, and they know him obviously by first name. And you can tell that there's tension there, but both parties are trying to keep it level because it is what it is. But this situation may tip one way or the other depending on how certain words are said.
So, Ace, we will be right back with you. For now, we're going to go ahead and start Conrad's day. Conrad, do you remember when you were contacted by your patron, how that all went down?
Yeah.
Roll me a sanity check.
Oh. That's just a D100 on here, you said?
Yep. And the objective is to roll less than your sanity score. Should
42.
be easy for you.
Yeah,
You're
we're good.
yeah, you're in like Flynn. So you only lose 1 instead of a lot.
Where do I put that on my character sheet?
Just subtract it from your total. So whatever your sanity score is, when your sanity goes down by 1, your score also goes down by 1. So subsequent sanity rolls will be harder and harder to pass, the more traumatized you become. Oh, I totally forgot. Cronus, roll me a sanity check while we're doing this. Because definitely you have experienced something horrible and traumatic when you relived your daughter dying.
My sanity is 90.
And what did you roll?
66.
You passed. Lose 1 sanity instead of 5. I know it's awful hearing you pass, lose 1.
You passed,
But
lose 1.
But
Like,
that's
oh, you passed
yeah.
the save for a fireball. Take 40 damage
Right.
instead of 80.
Passing the save still often means you take damage. That is the case for sanity as well. Conrad, you passed and only lost 1. That's correct.
Yeah.
You passed and only lost 1. You are just a traumatized individual in general. Your whole life is pretty shitty. You're lucky I'm letting you off with only losing the 1. for one instance.
Me?
But you definitely
Or
know that magic and evil is real. So you wake up with a splitting headache. In fact, every time you wake up with these, you know for a fact that somebody wants you to do something and you're not doing it.
Wait, are you talking to
And
Conrad or to?
Cronus?
Conrad, sorry, if I said
Oh,
Ace, I meant or not.
you didn't say who you were talking
Cronus.
about.
I'm sorry, I'm talking to Conrad. You woke up with a terrible headache, and you get these from time to time when you get the feeling that somebody wants something from you and you're not delivering. Unfortunately, they never seem to tell you exactly what it is they want.
That's
You
the bitch
just
about
know
it.
you got to do something about it. Now, you have tried everything in your power. You've made sacrifices. You have paid your dues. You have tried to unravel mysteries. You've tried to get in contact with other people who know what's going on. Nothing works. But sometimes the headaches go away. Not today. So, roll me a finance check.
Which one's finance?
It's survival, I'm sorry. Survival finances. Check. I got to keep this open so I can see your rolls. 23. Is that a nat 20?
That is a nat 20, baby. The
You know
poor
what?
honest man does it again.
So I was going to make it a DC 10 to say whether or not you had a different car in your garage. I'll say with a nat 20, you don't have another car in your garage, but not because you didn't have one. You just fixed it and got the paycheck today. So today you're going to make a finances roll, and that's going to be your money.
Just make another finance roll.
Yeah. What was the first one? I missed it.
First one was a 23. This one's a 10.
So go ahead and add yourself $330.
Oh. Are we doing dollars as gold coins?
You can store it however you want, whatever information you want about that.
Okay. I'll just do everything as mine on gold pieces then.
Yes.
All good.
So unfortunately, you'll have to have another pass fail finances check whenever you want to get a car to work on and make more money.
Okay.
But yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal. You probably won't spend through 330 anytime soon. So you have one empty garage, and you know that at about 1 o'clock today, you are having this truck come in, and you are being paid another $500 once you successfully diagnose what's wrong with this truck.
Okay.
So you can have your day, start out, have breakfast, do whatever you do until 1, or wake up at 1. That's up to you.
Nah, we're gonna get up at like 8 or 9. Have a quick bite of breakfast. Probably like a bagel or something. Just quick and easy. And then
You might get a phone call or two through the day.
fine.
Mostly people ask about prices. What part of town are you on?
I'm just gonna do
You
some
ever work on this kind of car?
quick
Nobody interested though.
quick
Nobody
inventory
called.
day.
Thanks.
I don't have anything sitting in the garage. Just gotta know there's a truck of some sort coming in. It has a pretty hefty bill attached to it, so we're just gonna do quick parts inventory, make sure tools are all in line, clean up a little, make it presentable. Because the paycheck definitely comes with a name that I recognize for. I probably should not be touching it, but we'll at least put on the facade of being a respectable place.
So it gets to be about 1:05 and still no truck. So as you go outside to kind of look and see, like, where is this tow driver from the impound lot? He's supposed to be here. And you do finally see it coming down the road, but it's being followed by a cruiser. Let's see here. And the cruiser parks and then backs up so the tow truck can start to push this white work truck into the left side of your garage. He's backing it in. And then the cop comes up to you because you're out witnessing this and says, Conrad, well, I don't think I've seen anything from you or heard your name in what's it been? 8 years?
Ah, shit,
This
officer. It's
is
probably been 6, 7 years by now.
This is Officer Billy McDonald. Billy and Conrad got into it some when they were kids. He knows very well your reputation, what you were like when you were a kid. You know, it's just kid stuff. You guys never really fought or anything like that, but this kid was like frustratingly by the book. This guy was lawful good to a T, but invasively so. Like everything was his business. He was a total prep in school. Actually, you didn't even go to school, so he was a total prep, and he even looked down on you because of who your family was and what went on. To the point that he kind of spread some rumors about you, maybe, or at least told people he thought you were up to no good. So some of your ostracization as a child may even be attributed to this punk. No surprise he decided to be a cop. And here he is giving you shit. Now, I can't even begin to imagine what would cause Vince Baker to send you his company's work truck. But let me tell you, we have searched high and low for this Mike guy, and we didn't find anything. There's no suspicious prints in or around on or around the truck, and we couldn't dig up anything in his personal belongings that was of any value. But if I find out that you're involved in this in some kind of way, Conrad, you better believe I'm going to be back here and I'm going to be on your ass.
I mean, you've been up my ass since we were kids there, officer, but I don't really think you're gonna be fine too much of my involvement here. As you can see, I ain't one for getting around right now.
Oh, yeah, is that your bike out back?
I mean, a bike's a bike, but how the hell am I supposed to kill a man and make him disappear on a bike?
Who said anything about killing a man and making him disappear, Conrad? He reaches for his gun.
Look, Billy, we've been down this road. Last time you tried fighting me, you ended up in the hospital with 4 teeth missing. You want to try this again, or do you want to let me do my job?
Look, nobody's trying to pick a fight now, Conrad, but you can't talk to the police like that. I'm still the law around here. I want you to know if I find out you're digging up in any of this business, if you got anything to do with where Mike went, you best just tell me right now. Because as near as we can tell, the company has nothing to do with this.
I just look at him and raise a hand and point at him. The tattoos on his sleeve just are, it's almost rippling, but it's kind of hard to tell because they already look very fluid. It's kind of hard to see if they're actually moving or if it's just the illusion. Listen here, young man. I've been all but respectable since I came back. I plan to keep it that way. Now, I'll let you know if something smells fishy. But you go around accusing me of shit again, there'll be more than just a fishy smell in your house.
He spits on the ground. He keeps his hand on his weapon, but he does take a couple of steps back. And about this time, you notice the tow truck driver comes up. All right, boys. Well, that's all well and good. Mr. Conrad, I'm just here to drop off the truck. I don't need any of this trouble in my life. Look, all I need you to do is sign right here, and I'll just get out of your way, and you and Billy can get into whatever you want to get into.
Billy's too
This
much of a
is a
chicken shit to get into that. Come on, man. Let's go sign the paperwork.
this
I'll,
is basically a kid. This guy's way younger than you. He's probably not even 18 yet. He's got platinum blonde hair. It's short, but he's covered in grease. All he's wearing is a set of overalls and little black work boots that has no shirt on under the coveralls. You can tell he doesn't have AC in his pickup or in his tow truck. And he hands you a clipboard with the traditional paperwork and everything on it. Listed on the items is the make and model of the pickup truck. In parentheses, it lists the decals to show that it's a Baker Industrial Mining Company vehicle. Included is one box, personal belongings, back seat.
deep box. Does shit come with
Uh,
Billy, or do you bring this in?
the officer's just here to make sure that it's a peaceful transition and that we get the property to you and it doesn't turn up missing in the meantime. Don't mind him. You know Billy's he's a real prickly feller. You guys
Yeah.
are inside now, and Billy is just kind of standing outside looking very frustrated about this whole situation.
Yeah, I'll just chuckle, sign it, and then like shout to Billy. Hey, officer, you seen this box in here? You want? Is it okay if I just start pulling it out?
As long as, hey, look, as long as the box makes it to that man's wife, that's all that matters. Those are his things, but if any of them matter to you, if any of them are truck parts or anything that explains what happened, be my guest to fill it out in the report. But I want you to know the sheriff's office has asked for a full report from Mr. Baker about what goes on because all we could tell that was wrong with this truck was something in the fuel line. We think maybe the fuel pump's busted.
Fuel line, fuel pump. Do a quick extremely quick visual inspection. Is there anything like noticeably off about the truck? It's just like a truck.
From the outside, nothing you can tell, just a truck. And
Alright.
as stated, there's a cardboard box sitting on the. It's not really even a back seat. It's kind of just like a back compartment. It does have a little bench where somebody could sit, but it's just a little plastic seat for somebody to sit on. And
Yeah.
sitting on that little plastic seat, it's between the two front seats. It's just a pickup truck. There is a little cardboard box. There's some
Alright.
junk in it.
Well, fuel pump's a start then. All right. Well,
So Billy and the tow truck driver both pull out. Ace, you had just pulled up as this conversation was happening.
Do I know any of the people?
You have known Billy around town. He drinks quite a bit, and he is known to be a hothead. You probably have, if you want to roll a history actually, to see how well you know anything about Conrad. While we're here, Elise, did you want to do this after your appointment with Dr. Cooper? Did you want
Yes.
to go pick out the truck? Okay, we'll get there later. I just want to let you know that you two are coming up. Also, you, Cronus. You guys are getting ready to have a moment here, so get ready.
Okay.
Ace, you definitely don't know who Conrad is, or you have not heard any rumors. This guy is not connected to anything. He's a freaking ghost.
Side
So,
okay.
you are basically being sent here to observe and make sure that Mike's wife gets the box of belongings and to just see what happens, to see, make sure Conrad basically does what he says he's going to do. But we are going to cut from there and we're going to jump over to Dr. Cooper's office. By the way, feel free to move your characters on the map of the city over to where they are. You guys don't have to if you don't want to, but certainly that's a thing that you can do and would make sense. So, Elise, you had a little bit of time to grab some lunch and make your way over to Dr. Cooper's office, where you have an appointment to see your grief counselor. Small, bookish woman, short black hair, bob cut, acid wash jeans, ribbed sweater. I can't remember what I even said her receptionist's name was, but it's not important because she waves you in shortly after you see a man go walking by, smoking a cigarette in the doctor's office. Ben, would you like to
Okay.
describe your character?
Yes. So Cronus Harmon is he's about 5'10", kind of dirty blonde hair. He wears a white dress shirt, sleeves rolled up, red tie, brown overcoat. Yes, he wears an overcoat in Texas in summer. Eyes sunken in, looks like he hasn't slept in like 3 days. Skin and bones. Just, he looks like he's been through hell and back, pretty much. But he's.
Roll me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, he's. Yeah, he looked bad.
Roll me a perception check, Elise.
19.
absolutely you know that this guy has repressed emotional content of some kind. There is more to know about this particular person. And again, you have that feeling as though this is someone who is important to what's going on with Mike. You can, again, you guys can stop and interact as he passes you on his way out of the appointment. You can see that Dr. Cooper is kind of standing in the doorway watching him go. She's not reaching out to stop him or shout anything at him. She's just kind of watching suspiciously. As you have known her to be, she's kind of a little bit cold, even with you. Would you like to stop and interact with this guy on your way out?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, sir, you okay? I'm sorry, I just got some. I got a weird sense, second time today. You doing okay? You good?
No.
I don't think it's about time for my appointment yet. I think I'm a little early still.
Are
My
you
watch.
okay? No.
I guess it don't look like it's quite time for my appointment yet. Are you just walking out?
Yeah, lot of shit. I don't know. Who are you?
I don't. It's not a big deal. Sorry, I don't know. Got an inkling something, but
Do I recognize this person?
You don't recognize her. You can roll a history to see if maybe you've seen her at this office before. This would be a low DC. This is only going to be a 12.
16.
You absolutely have seen each other at this office before. Your appointments are on the same day, so how could you not? In fact, at least it seems like he leaves here angry often. Cronus, you've seen her sitting here looking really sad very often. And in fact, you happen to know that this is a grief counselor you're seeing, and you have poached clients from this before now. So if you were so inclined, it stands to reason that people seeing a grief counselor have lost loved ones, and you have a particular skill for contacting lost loved ones, don't you?
Tell you what, and he pulls in it, gets into his shirt pocket and pulls out a card. If you need help finding somebody, here's my card.
oh well, thank you. Have you ever heard of Baker Industrial Mining?
Have I?
Absolutely, you've heard of Baker Industrial Mining Company. Your house is in South Midland, and so you know more
Okay.
about South Midland than Midland. But Midland, Texas, is known for Baker Industrial Mining Company. That's like one of the biggest things that's here. It's this, the tire facility, and business other businesses. But the two big facilities, like the things that are produced by this city, the tire company and the mining company.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've driven past it a few times.
Oh, my husband just went missing from there. No, I'll give you a call sometime.
Fair. And he
Elise, it's probably best if we don't fraternize between patients. And Dr. Cooper waves you in.
Oh, sorry. I'll walk right in.
So she passes you, and Cronus, you're free for the rest of the afternoon. Is there anything you'd like to do with your day?
I would like to. Am I allowed near my old place? Like, is that even something that I'm allowed to do?
You don't have the keys yet, but you can drive down to South Midland and check it out. You know where it is. They're not going to stop you from driving down there, but you can't get in. You know the
Okay.
keys. You could, if you want, you can try and lockpick or break your way in. Though that's entirely up to you.
Okay. I don't do that, but I do drive by there. Is it fenced in?
No, no, it is not.
Okay. I go to the backyard.
Where the tire
And
swing used to be.
yes.
Make a perception check. Or actually, we'll call this one an investigation. This is I
Okay.
apologize. This is more figuring something out than it is specifically looking for something.
Um, I kind of want this to succeed. Can I give myself inspiration?
I'll let you just keep the perception check because that's high enough.
Okay.
The rope swing's not there anymore, but there is still a mark on the gnarled oak tree on the branch where the two ropes were tied. Um, you suspect that probably the authorities have removed the rope swing. The house is in terrible shape. Um, it was painted a really pretty eggshell white. Actually, it's an aluminum siding in an eggshell white. Um, but it has started to fall apart. There's a lot of panels missing, and they reveal the naked metallic sheen of the insulation behind them. Where they remain, there's actually moss growing in between the panels of the aluminum siding. And then, as you look up the house from where the tire swing used to be, you can see the window. Um, that was your daughter's window, and it overlooked this tire swing. And you may recall um, this was something your daughter had been really excited about. This was like a surprise gift that you had just installed this tire swing the night before, and she had played herself silly out on this thing. She used to swing on it. She was a little old for dolls, but she liked teddy bears and things like that, and she would set them in her lap and go out and swing, and kind of play pretend out here, and talk to her teddy bears. And the whole first night she sat out here talking to her teddy bears, sitting on the tire swing like they were old friends. And then she came in that night, and everything seemed normal. Woke up the next day, had breakfast. She went to school. But by the time she came home from school, something didn't seem right. Maybe she seemed a little spooked, even. And so you had given her her space. Had dinner. She sat at the dinner table with you and your wife. Uh, and then that night, after you went to bed, she kind of stuck to her room. She didn't want to go out and play in the tire swing the second night. And that night is when she died. Or more accurately, when you saw her killed. And everything that's happened since then in your life has been a total tragedy. And as you look up at your daughter's window, you need to make another sanity check. Way underrolled it. You can gain a sanity point. That's what we would call an what's your sanity is over 4 times 12, right? Is it 90?
It's well, after losing it was 89, so I guess now it goes back up to 90.
It's still over 4 times, so that's what we would call in Call of Cthulhu an extreme success. So you can gain 1 sanity point here. So you're back up to 90.
Okay.
Rationality braces you against these feelings. You do know, after having relived this in Dr. Cooper's office, that there really wasn't anything you could have done any better. But you're also resolutely aware that something supernatural happened. It wasn't a delusion. It's not a coping mechanism. There's something really terrible that stole your daughter's soul, and everybody else in the world just thinks she died being strangulated by the cords of her blinds.
Are there steps at the back door of the house?
Yeah, there's a little back porch even. Kind of the American dream. You used to have a little grill out there and everything. The grill's missing now, but you can go up to the back door.
I want to just kind of check to see if the back door is unlocked.
It is locked.
It is locked. Okay.
But you know from experience that there's not a deadbolt. It's just a lock in the door in the back. Even though the front there is a deadbolt and a lock in the door both. Back here it's just the door.
I sit down on the steps and pull out a little flip phone and dial my ex-wife's number and see if she'll answer.
It rings, and because this is 1993, it's not a cell phone. She doesn't have one. For her, it's just a
Okay.
landline.
Sure.
You actually know that she's remarried.
Right.
But
Um,
it's late, and she's not going to answer.
I
In
just
fact,
kind of, I
you've
kind
done
of figured
this.
it would go to voicemail.
It's a landline. She
Or
doesn't have it set
landline.
up.
Okay.
She doesn't have an answering machine,
Okay, never mind.
so it just rings and rings and rings.
I had something in mind, but never mind. I just
Well,
put it
okay.
away.
If you had something in mind, I'm not gonna cheat you out of that. Absolutely, tell me what message you.
Like a ring back tone is what I was expecting.
I was just gonna be like kind of like half crying, just say, I went to Dr. Cooper's office today and thought about our daughter. I'm feel like I'm really close to getting her back. And then I hang up.
Jesus. Whew. Close to getting her back. No wonder she doesn't take these calls. That must be rough on her. You are so convinced that she's not really dead, but your wife is convinced. Your ex-wife is convinced. We're going to head back to Elise. Elise, you go through a very similar process with Dr. Cooper. Unfortunately, your experience of Dr. Cooper is a little different. Whereas Cronus seems very familiar with her, you're a newer patient, and she is extremely withdrawn and formal with you. She hasn't really gotten to the point where she's comfortable hypnotizing you and making you relive any memories. Mostly, she just wants to talk about how you feel. Are you eating enough? Are you taking the meds we prescribed you? That sort of rundown. You've only been seeing her for a month, so this is like your third or fourth appointment with her. Nothing really special, but as you walk in, you know that that man is a very sad man, and I want you to know that if you do decide to call him, don't pay him for anything. Don't let him talk you into any of that mysticism. That is not how we heal here.
Jesus Christ.
Hmm. Oh, all right, then.
Mr.
Me?
Harmon is very troubled, and it's my professional opinion that he is mostly a grifter. Please come on in, have a seat. Let's talk about your week.
Thank you, thank you. It's
Like I said, the appointment's pretty archetypical. What's that?
I was gonna say, yeah, she'll just go over her week. She's still been looking for answers about her husband. Just stopped over at the headquarters. She'll tell about the gift that Vince and the company gave her.
Is that the music I sent you that I'm hearing?
It is,
Yeah.
I did
What
not know
is
that's in there.
that?
I did not. That's not there on purpose. Whatever it is, a little subliminal messaging for you guys. Everybody make a sanity check. I'm kidding.
You all fail.
Correction, Ben.
Everyone dies.
Everyone loses 50 sanity. Have fun.
I'm still sane.
I'm so
I would
sane.
still be sane, but
I think Andy's.
And
Brian and I are both dead over here. We're just like.
Okay. I can't wait. Elise, you want to do anything after your appointment with Dr. Cooper?
I'll be eager to head over and check out my husband's car, get his belongings, see what all's in there. Specifically, I want to look for his wedding ring. Because I've got mine. I want his if it's not on him.
Smart. Very smart.
Sure.
So it's going to take you from Dr. Cooper's office. It's only going to take you about 10 minutes to get over to where this Conrad's garage. At this point, it's about 2 p.m. So The truck has definitely been there, but you suspect you have time to maybe go shopping or just sit outside pathetically or something,
What?
because it's going to take him longer than an hour to give this truck a real thorough inspection, assuming he even starts it right away.
You don't think I can beat flat rate hours? Come on now.
So as you drive over to Conrad's garage and you pull up, again, this is not the best part of town. You can see that there is a very nice dark red pickup truck parked here. There's a motorcycle out back, and Mike's truck is sitting in the left-hand garage unit. And you are free to approach if you would like. But actually, you know what? Make me a history check.
All right. History.
Making
Oh my god, nat
'Cause
20.
it's creeping me
Hell
out.
yeah.
Oh, not there. That's the wrong one.
But it's so thematic.
I just
It's
don't
the
like
ghost.
the ghost chanting's just not appropriate.
I
That's
mean,
all.
Are they
depends on who
saying
you
anything?
ask.
It's hard to make out.
It sounds like nursery rhymes in reverse, and I'm just uncomfortable about it. That's all.
And we're a character
Fuck
too late for
that.
that.
I hope everybody's a little
ghost
bit
character.
uncomfortable at this point. By the way, I apologize. The themes here are going to be a little bit dark. If you hadn't noticed, everybody's background is a little bit troubling.
All right, buddy.
Yay!
Welcome to your weekly
Share-
section of D&D therapy.
Yeah, I
Shared
missed the
trauma.
memo.
Yeah. Welcome to
Woo!
5e, the insane version.
Yippee.
So, I apologize. What did I just ask you, Lisa? I asked you to roll history.
Yeah, I got a nat 20.
Oh, absolutely. You and Ace know each other very well. This is Ace's truck. You know that this is Ace, and what in the heck would he be doing here, except for the fact that this is a company truck and Vince told you it would be here. You can easily infer that probably Ace is following up on what's going on with Mike's truck. And he has beat you here.
I will approach Ace first then, because I know him.
Okay, so I assume you're going to go inside.
Yeah. I'll go inside.
That takes us to Conrad, unless Ace wants to immediately go in when the truck is dropped off, because you are here observing. If you prefer, you can wait in your truck, but you can also go in while Conrad is signing paperwork and assuming possession of the truck.
You said I was outside when I saw the cop walk out and just kind of like pace around doing whatever he looks
Yeah,
to.
so you can still see the cop is kind of lingering outside, but when the tow truck driver comes back out and climbs into his tow truck, he starts to work the controls that lower the truck, and he's working on getting it unhooked, and the police officer's just sort of standing outside observing. And he's spotted you. He sees that you're there, but he doesn't seem keen to approach you for any kind of reason. He seems to maybe understand who you are and why you're there. You can go talk to him if you want.
It doesn't look like there's any immediate problems, so I'll just wait until I see like Elise show up.
Okay. In that case, Conrad, you soon have the tow truck driver back in your office. He says, all dropped off and pulled in onto your rails. You can take a look at her whenever you want. I'm gonna head out here. I think Billy's probably going to follow me if I make my guess.
Yeah, take him out of
Goes
here.
out.
He's no good to me.
He walks out, shuts the door behind him. It sets off a little bell tinkler you have at your entryway. Gets in his tow truck and drives it off. Billy gives another long, hard look through your front door that you can see. And then he goes and he gets in his cruiser and he peels off too.
I flip him off as he leaves.
He hits his lights on his way out so that he can speed through the intersection. And then immediately turns them off as soon as boy, this guy's suddenly not sounding so lawful good. He's sounding like lawful neutral right now.
Does it all for him.
Yep. He's got more important business, he tells himself.
Was there anybody in the intersection?
No. I mean, there's people all around everywhere. But it was a red light, so he didn't turn on his sounds, just the lights, so that he could cut through a red light and get out of this part of town. There's like kids running down the street over at a gas station across the corner from you. There's The tire facility is back behind you across the river. There's a big used car lot just down the street on the same side as Conrad's garage. There's people around, so it's not the best part of town, but at the same time, no part of Midland is really that bad. So Conrad,
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just grab a folder from behind the desk, throw the paperwork in there, and then walk over to a filing cabinet, tuck it in, shut her up, and then go into the garage and pop the hood on the truck, start poking around that fuel pump.
in that case, it will be an animal handling / vehicle handling,
Oh, we
please.
about to ace this bitch.
That Bronco.
All right, absolutely. So, what they said about the fuel pump does, in fact, seem to be the course of the problems that this truck is having. So, you get down under it and start pulling out the other things that are in the way, preventing you from getting straight to the fuel pump. This is an older model Chevy, pretty
Oh, okay.
standard pickup truck.
That's
But
fine.
something peculiar does catch your expert eye as you are tearing down the fuel line to pull out the fuel pump. The fuel pump is blown, like it was overpressurized, way too bad. In fact, as you are analyzing it, the whole fuel line from the tank to the fuel pump seems to be blown out, almost like it was hammered out from the inside or was put under extreme pressure.
All right, I'm gonna.
And certainly that is what this truck's original problem was.
Yeah, I'm just gonna rip out the entire fuel line and fuel assembly as much as I can, at least. I'll leave the tank in.
Okay. As you tear it down, go ahead and make me another vehicle handling check.
Oh God.
Um, your efforts to do so are less than elegant. They are sufficient to get it disassembled, but as you're pulling it off, you bite off more than you can chew, and a lot of the pipe work associated with the fuel line comes out with the fuel pump, and a bunch of pipes clatter to the bottom of your garage around you.
Eh.
Nothing in terms of investigative value lost, but certainly you have damaged the truck slightly.
Well.
You have harmed its value slightly.
I mean, this shit ain't gonna drive anyway. One or two bent pipes, I'll fix it. Together. Don't really.
So,
Certainly.
overpressurized fuel line. The pipes, indeed, as you would have expected, appear to have been pushed out from the inside as if under extreme internal pressure. But it does seem like the fuel line stopped, or the fuel pump stopped it. So, whatever this pressure was, it was between the tank and the fuel pump.
Can I like run my hands the entire length of the fuel line and see if there's any sort of like hard obstructions or noticeable like clamps or anything?
Nothing of that kind, but it is the entire fuel line from pump to tank.
The entire thing is inflated and seems like it was
Yeah.
stretched.
Yep.
Huh.
Where there are clamps, which are normal for them to be,
Right.
they are busted. They have been broken open from the pressure. The pipes themselves are actually slightly more durable than the clamps. The clamps are really just to help it bend
Right. Hold it in place.
as it maneuvers inside the car. You would suspect there might be something wrong with the tank, too,
Well,
if it's the whole fuel line up till now.
let's go ahead and remove the back casing and get that tank out. I want to throw it
Giant
up on the
plastic. Yeah.
up on the
It's
rails and send her all the way up.
It's a giant compressed plastic box, basically, that's it's anchored right above the rear axle,
Okay.
but it sort of sits under the what you would call the rear seat, maybe under the front of the bed as well.
Yeah.
You pull it out, and it has the exact same kind of damage as the fuel line, but maybe even slightly more severe. In fact, there's a few places high on this big plastic drum where holes have been poked from the inside.
So they're busted outward.
Uh-huh. holes poked,
Hmm.
extreme pressure, or in the case of these holes, something forced its way out, either through extreme pressure or some other means.
How big are the holes?
About the size of your finger.
Like finger circumference? I can put my finger through the hole.
Oh yeah, all the way through, but it's about as big around as your finger. There's like 3 of them at different places around the top.
Hmm. I'll check the frame on where the holes would have gone to see if I see anything like stuck in the frame or stuck in any of the metalwork.
Nothing that you can find. Actually, I mean, you can. I shouldn't have just given it up that easy, but yeah, I should have had you roll again for a perception or something. But plenty sufficient to see. No, there's nothing great that you can find here. It seems like this is the extent of the damage. Actually, all things considered, truck should be working fine if you just replace the fuel tank. Honestly, you don't even have to replace the fuel tank, as it so happens.
Because the holes are on top.
Yeah, the holes are on top. It'll leak when it gets really full,
Leak, you'll get air inside the tank.
which is normal. You
Yeah.
get a little bit of air inside your fuel tank.
Crazy.
Every time you empty it, it starts to fill with air.
Then go to the front and grab the fuel pump itself and inspect that.
Damaged from the end that leads to the fuel tank, damaged by extreme pressure. Seems like it when it bust through, that was the end of this truck moving forward. That's certainly why it stopped. And shortly after, the battery would have been drained, and that would be it. That'd be it. Wouldn't turn on at all anymore. Certainly couldn't get started after it died.
There's no like blowback on the fuel pump side of things aside from
The fuel pump's destroyed, but there's nothing special beyond that. Everything beyond the fuel pump actually seems intact.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll get out from underneath the truck and clean up my hands a little bit.
This process has taken maybe 2, maybe 3 hours. So, Ace, you've been here watching for 2 hours. You would say this is probably enough time that he's had some time to look into it. Although you haven't seen the guy come back out, so you can assume he's still working. You can go in if you'd like to. You don't have to.
Has Elise showed up in this time? Is she here yet or no?
She'll show up after you make this decision about whether you're still sitting in your truck or not.
I guess I'll go inside since it's been a while.
Okay. So you go on inside, a little plain foyer, a bell sounds, just a normal hanging bell above the door, a little clicker. Sets it off, ding-a-ling-a-ling. And Conrad, you hear this.
Go ahead and
Just about the time you're climbing out from under the truck and wiping your hands off on a dingy blue towel that you keep draped over your little computer desk here, where you run an extremely old diagnostic system.
I'll can I see him come through the front door from the garage?
You can hear it, but it's around a doorway without a door in it. And
Okay.
then there is a little hallway, and in the hallway you have a vending machine and some benches and some magazines. But then the little entryway is just off that hallway. And so if you step into the hallway, you can see the front door.
We can go ahead and reach my hand behind my back and just walk up towards the front door or the hallway and poke my head out to see who it is. Would I recognize him?
No, you guys have never heard of each other. He rolled history earlier and absolutely knows nothing about you. You probably would be able to infer something if you'd roll an insight.
Well,
You
let's
could maybe
find out.
identify him that way. Nope, just looks like a cowboy to you.
I'll keep my hand behind my back and stand in the doorway and look, just like raise my voice a little bit and be like, be with you in a second here. And then step back around, Finish wiping off my hands.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling. And then right behind Ace, in walks Elise.
All right, I'll whip back around and be like, "Hey, look, man, I said I'd be with this. I apologize. Are you two together?"
Ace, Elise, you absolutely know each other. You've known each other for about 5 years. You've been to like the same parties and stuff, but it's not like you're friends.
I don't
I'm
don't think we're together, but we might be here for the same reason.
what she said.
All right, I'm gonna go on a limb here and say, you, Mr. Fancy Pants, been out there in the red truck. You're here to make sure the truck stays good, and you must be the Mrs. Man. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 1 second here. Need to clean up just a second. I'll run to the back washroom, wash my hands thoroughly, clean my hair up a little bit, and then come back out looking somewhat more presentable, not just a disgruntled mess of oil and gas stains. And I'll reach my hand out to Elise first and be like, "Ma'am, Conrad, sorry about your loss here, ma'am. You want to step back here? I believe there's a box for you."
Oh, thank you.
And as he reaches his arm out, you guys will both be able to tell, like, the oily stains on his arms aren't actual oil. It's actually 2 full sleeves of a dark black tattoo ink of some sort. It seems to be moving, but it could just be the light off the oil.
Before we get any further, I didn't want to offer it to you because it would be fair, but I'm going to mention it to you now. There was this box of his personal effects. If you had bothered to look, there is posted on the side a paper printed checklist of all of the items in the box. It is haphazardly taped to the side of the box. And all of the contents are listed with a checkbox, and all of them have been checked.
Not my box.
You did. It's not your box. Okay. I just wanted to check and see if you wanted to do any molesting of data before
All right.
it changed hands.
Come on now.
That's a word.
Are you just trying to stereotype me, sir? I know I might be a ruffian and I might be a hooligan, but I am by no means a grave robber.
Once a criminal,
ruffian?
always a criminal.
So
God damn!
Conrad does not appear interested in messing with the contents of the box. So Elise, you get the box.
Cool.
I will not be particularly inclusive of the items in the box, but you're looking for the wedding ring, if I recall.
Mm-hmm. That's the main thing I wanted, because that's the main thing I knew he would have had on him.
Listed on the list. Would you like to look in the box?
Yes.
His wallet's in here, complete with his ID, $20 in assorted bills, his various cards. That's here. He does have a pistol. You didn't specifically know that he had a pistol, but he had a pistol. It's not like it's a surprise either. A lot of the mining company guys pack heat, particularly in their cars. This is Texas. Nobody really cares. He wouldn't have hung a hunting rifle in his work truck, but it's no surprise he keeps a pistol in there. The pistol's in there, mags empty, no bullets. Police have confiscated that. In fact, they are on the checklist with a line through them to indicate that they were removed from the box but were found in the truck. Also, the license, or I mean, the registration, the plate slip is in there. He's got 3 of them. Every time he's gotten the plates renewed, he's just kind of stuffed it in the glove box along with the owner's manual. There's some hand tools, tire iron, a little monkey wrench, sorted bits and bobs, garbage, a hula girl sits on his dashboard. Listed is earthenware, and in the box there's like a weird clay figurine. And as you dig through the box and go through the other belongings, there's nothing particularly important, and no matter how hard you search, no wedding ring.
Do I recognize this little clay figurine at all, ever?
You surely do not recognize it. It seems strange to you. Matter of fact, as soon as your finger touches it, you get a pop. Your little spidey sense goes off like mad.
Oh. I'll turn to Conrad. Is this yours? I'm not sure this was my husband's.
So this little figurine, the base of it is about the size of a mason jar, and it represents several human hands clenched together. You would say 4 hands, as if they are nurturingly holding something. The fingers are not clasped; they're mittens woven together. There's 4 sets of them, and they are interlocked to create a solid surface. Not the fingers intertwined, like side by side, but they are bent a little bit, as if artistically rendered, so that they create a cylinder.
Is it like a open dish? Is it like an actual
Uh,
like jar? Like something could be inside of it? Is there like
Yeah,
a
it's a
okay?
jar with a lid, and the lid represents a duck's head, as if the hands are holding the duck, and just its head is sticking out. It is earthenware, but the hands are rendered in the color that the pot is. They are unpainted, but they are glazed. At appearance, you would say it's certainly quite old. The duck's head is rendered in a white paint, but you can only see that around the eyes and around the beak because the rest of it is in a shiny black. The rest of the duck's head is in a shiny black. And between the white, where you can see feathers, and the black, there is a distinct texture change. And it appears as if this blackness was very deliberately put upon the duck.
Hmm.
It was painted on to depict some kind of meaning. On the hands, from knuckle to wrist, there is some kind of strange writing. Or you're not even sure that it's writing. It almost looks like hieroglyphs to your eyes.
Conrad said this wasn't his.
This is all stuff from Mike's truck.
Can I open it? Just plain curiosity. I've never seen
So,
this before.
when you say open it, would you
It-
like to describe the method by which you would open this? Because this does somewhat matter.
Oh no. I will
Good luck.
try.
Are you pulling the duck's head off?
Carefully.
Yeah, I'll try to grab it by the duck head and either twist or pull to see how it's see which way it'll move.
Firmly grasp it.
Firmly grasp the duck.
And
Firmly grasp it.
so, go ahead and roll me an investigation is what we'll do. This will
Okay.
be a low DC because it's not terribly hard to figure this out.
Are we seeing
30,
her just
20.
like open this box?
Yeah,
Or open this thing?
you guys can talk while she investigates because you're just in Conrad's garage. Conrad, you are there while you pass over this.
Do I
box of
know what
belongings,
this-
And she starts.
Do I like
You-
see
you-
the duck at all and know roughly what it is or at all?
This is just shit that was in the box. This is shit that was in his truck
And I
at the
don't
time they found it.
I don't recognize.
And it's documented as earthenware on the paperwork. No, you have no idea. You never seen anything like that before in your life.
All right, well, yeah. Fuck was your husband into?
It's honestly, it's just for all the world, it just looks like a really weird pot, like a real what a canopic jar is,
Yeah.
like where they stick mummy organs in. Yeah, it looks like that.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh.
I've
It's
seen
just-
some
it's
weird
weird-
shit,
it's-
ma'am, but
It's weird. Yeah, it's definitely a weird little artifact you have here. And as you investigate it, you definitely rolled high enough to know that there is a very slight crease, although cleverly, it is in the middle of the duck like where the duck's shoulders would begin, where there's a little bit of a gap in the hands. You would think the seam would be right where the hands end, but in order to make it as clean of a juncture as possible between pot and lid, there is a circular shape, but it is bent into an oval because it's three-dimensional. And as you pull off, it's got a beveled edge, and the duck's head basically just pulls out of the hands, although there's still a little bit of neck exposed at the edge of the hands. And it's more or less a smooth circular aperture that it sets in. And the bevel kind of keeps it rigidly locked in place. The craftsmanship is incredibly fine. Like this feels like two pieces of stoneware sliding apart when you pull this out. Like it sits in there perfectly. And as you pull, twinkling green lights swirl up out of the pot. Small at first. And anybody in the room have any kind, besides Elise, any kind of magical detection ability whatsoever?
Um, define ability.
Anything you got. Anything you got.
I think I missed the memo where you're supposed to come up with creative stuff. It's like a basic cowboy cut.
Hey, my
I'm-
dude, you're perfect. You don't even need to worry about it.
Hang on.
Every group of ghost investigators needs a normie. The Ghostbusters had Winston. I didn't see any of the new Ghostbuster movies, but point is, every team's got a normie, and you belong here. Don't feel left out.
We love you.
This is how the audience gets to know.
I'm just gonna instinctually take 2 steps back.
Sam, I'm gonna back up, reach behind my back, and just like watch the lights. And
These
then
twinkling
Oh,
green lights swirl up
I have-
in front of Elise.
I have something I want
And-
to.
Oh, go ahead.
I can telepathically speak to Elise and just tell her close that fucking jar now.
I will close the jar as soon as I hear the words.
You certainly hear the message loud and clear. Make me an Arcana check.
Oh.
Gonna be a lot of checks this campaign. A lot of checks.
Oh,
Nope.
Second that one.
You slap that lid back down, and for a moment, you would think that it wasn't gonna stop, but the twinkling green lights start to form some kind of a shape in the air above you. But as the lid seats back perfectly into place, the twinkling green lights kind of lose some of their energy, and instead of floating, they fall to the ground and disappear. And everything once again appears normal, except that feeling you get, your spidey sense still tells you that there is something very mysterious. If it wasn't perfectly obvious at this point, there's something very mysterious going on with this pot.
I'm just gonna slowly like pan to the other two in the room. Like, what was that?
Everybody make me sanity checks. I need Ace,
Yippee.
Elise, and
No.
Conrad, please.
Woo!
I'm in danger.
You're welcome, guys.
Oh, that's an extreme success. Conrad, you can gain a point. Are you at 91?
I'm now back up to 80.
Up to 80. Alana, did you pass or fail?
Yes, that's below my sanity score.
Right, that's what you're looking for.
Okay,
You
that's a pass.
But I assume that's not 4 times.
No.
And Ace, is 41 above or below your sanity score?
It's above my score.
Unfortunately, you have failed. You are going to lose 3 sanity this time.
Oh God.
Ew.
Not even the bad fail. Bad fails are 5 or more. So just so you know for future reference. Bad fails are 5 or more. This was okay. This is spooky and supernatural, but you are not going to break over a weird light show. So,
Did I gain or lose? Did I lose any?
Anybody who passed, you don't actually lose any sanity for this one.
Okay.
Perfect.
So you opened a spooky jar. You got a spooky visitor. Now what?
I'll put it back in the box and say, "Did you find out what's wrong with the car or the truck?"
I'm
Well,
gonna
that was
just
weird.
I'm
What's
going
wrong with
right
the truck?
past that. Okay.
Change the
Pretend I didn't
subject.
see that.
I'm gonna look at the jar, look at her, look at the jar, look at her, pull my hand out from behind my back, and be like, "Yeah, all right."
We didn't take a break or anything yet today, guys. It's gonna be a thick sode. We can keep going if you want, or if we get too tired, don't be afraid to speak up and say it's time to stop.
I mean, I could probably go until like midnight, but then I have to cut it off because I have work tomorrow.
Same.
About where I figured we'd be.
I'm cool with that.
I was thinking
Yeah.
we'd stop between 11 and midnight, but it's up to you guys if you want to keep going.
That works.
That works perfectly.
Midnight school.
All right, midnight it shall be. In that
Awesome,
case,
Bears.
we are gonna do about another half hour of this before we wind down.
Okay.
So, anybody else want to Ace? Do you want to react at all to the spooky light show?
I'll probably just mutter out loud what the voodoo shit was that.
You look at me like I know.
You ain't seen real voodoo yet, kid. All right, bam, pretty
Ace
boy.
Conrad,
come on.
you can. Oh, Ace Conrad, you guys can make Arcana checks. Ace, go ahead and finish what you were saying.
I would probably just mutter that Mike never mentioned anything about that before.
That will be a fail. Ace, obviously, you know this is voodoo. Clearly, it's voodoo.
Evil in that jar.
Am I what?
He said there's evil in the jar.
Oh,
There's evil in the jar.
All right, let's leave the jar here. Let's go show you guys what happened. I'm gonna lead him back into the garage.
and I'll put the jar back in the box as we go.
Now, as we walk back there, I'll just like tilt my head back, be like, "So, how much about cars do you guys know, ma'am and pretty boy?"
About as much as a lady should know.
You'd be surprised. All right. Well, the problem here happened with the fuel system, and I'm assuming at this point the fuel system is like on the ground.
Oh yeah, it's still like laid out on the floor of your garage.
Okay.
100%.
So I'll point out the three big sections. We got fuel tank, fuel line, fuel pump. Think about it like a mouth on a straw and a glass of water. Well, in this case, something happened and there was too much whatever pressure, gas, something inside the fuel tank, and it caused everything to expand out a little bit too hard and blow out. So notice, pick up the fuel line. This thing ain't supposed to be this fat. It's supposed to be a lot skinnier. And whatever went through here, this fuel pump over here stopped it from blowing up the engine entirely. But without gas, it ain't going anywhere. That brings me to the big head scratcher. Grab the fuel tank. Show them the holes. Something poked these holes from the inside. Now I've been up and under there. There ain't no damage inside of that truck. It's just this tank. So I don't know what kind of fuel y'all running or what you put in your trucks, but something or somebody did not want this truck going very far.
You think somebody might have like put something in the tank? Do you think somebody tampered with it?
It's hard to tell. I tried looking for the things that poked this hole, and there's nothing. There's no metal debris. There's no holes or pieces of things inside that truck body. And on the opposite side, the fuel pump, it stopped whatever was doing damage. and there's nothing else in the engine bay. So, whatever happened to this assembly, somebody basically made a pipe bomb, but it didn't go boom. It just went small boom.
And there's no residue in any of the tanks or lines or anything.
I mean, you're more than welcome to check for that. I ain't got the tools to check to see what's what. I just know it smells like gas because gas goes through it every day. Beyond that, that's outside my wheelhouse.
It stands to reason, and normally is the case, that the police, in the case where an investigation was made, obviously they had to drain the fuel out of the fuel system to do their own analysis. There's no fuel in it, there's no residue. You don't necessarily have the tools to check for like an unusual residue, but you can certainly say within reason that the fuel was just drained out of this truck.
Yeah, it smells like gas. It looks like gas stains. I mean, I ain't a scientist, but it just looks like there was gas in here.
Gas and a creepy voodoo statue. Odd thing.
Maybe it's the goddamn statue. Or the duck thing. Blame the duck.
Did they happen to tell you where they found this duck jar?
That, ma'am, was in a box in the truck when it got here. I took the box out, and I didn't touch it since.
All right.
So these are items that were recovered from the truck. Which means when they found it, this pot, was in here. And your spidey sense is still going off about this pot. And I think that stands to reason.
Yeah.
After the shit show we just saw?
Yeah.
So it's about 4 or 5 now. Kai, you finished making your business deals with Vince. Obviously, he's tickled pink. He just loves the idea that things are going smoothly. You seemed kind of interested in the jewels, even though your father told you it really doesn't matter. They're more interesting. At the end of the day, the gold is the gold. And he's willing to sell your father as much as he will buy. At least of his current stock. Truthfully, like I said, the 3 bars will last you like pretty much indefinitely, for as long as you'll probably be alive. You could continue to make jewels out of 150 pounds of gold. You do larger pieces, things like armlets, necklaces, but again, the weight in gold that goes through your hands is like maybe a couple of pounds a year, maybe. One of these bricks will last a long time. So he signs you up to sell, at this point, 1 bar immediately, and he'll have it shipped off to your father's manufacturing plant back home, or plant, I say, his workshop, I should say, back home.
Perfect.
Whatever gemstones you've picked out, he'll offer to have those shipped with it as well. And you can make another finances roll for your dad's company if you like.
I'm hoping to not buy for 12. I'm hoping to buy for 9.5 or 10 per bar.
Any particular reason?
Saves us money.
What I mean is anything you're going to use as a negotiating tactic to try and walk that price down from the 12 that they're worth.
Just a firm reminder that nobody else is buying this gold because of the amount of silver in it. You're lucky that we're willing to take some. What? So we'll accept 10.
He'll buy. That was plenty of a survival check. He's totally willing to walk the price back. If he sells 10 million, he sells 10 million. He'll take it because it's out the door.
Perfect. Thank you, Vince.
All right, now I'll tell you what. If you want to come back tomorrow, we can maybe arrange for a better tour. I'm given to understand Ace didn't quite show you everything in the facility. I really didn't give him enough time. I understand, but I think I'll be able to free him up to show you around a little bit more comprehensively. in the morning. So if you want to swing back by here, maybe let's say 8 a.m.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you. But
All right.
we, our business is done, but I'd still like to take a look at the place.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we'll see you at 8 a.m., darling. This was Miss Kulani. This was absolutely a delight. Thank you so much for stopping by to see the facility and give your father my best regards.
I will do, Vince. Have a good night.
You too, sweetheart. And as you leave, the buzzer goes off, and you can see Susie looks a little tired, but she does stand up from her desk. Miss Kulani, it was a pleasure. You be safe out there now. Oh,
Thank you.
honey, how are you getting back to your room?
I was about to see if you'd be able to call a cab for me.
Oh, well, sure. That's no problem, sweetie. And she sits down. Roll me an insight check. And she does get on the phone and dials the same neon sign cab company.
21.
She's uncomfortable. She has to stay an extra half hour to wait for this car for you. You can hear outside that Vince gets in his luxury car and drives off. You sit with Susie for about a half hour. She makes pleasant small talk. She's really friendly. And you can tell when it makes her uncomfortable. She has to wait an extra half hour to see you off, but it's not unheard of for her to do something like this.
And during our conversation, and while we're waiting the 30 minutes, I would definitely say something that, Susie, thank you. You're very, very kind for waiting. I wish I didn't. I wish I wouldn't have been keeping you, but I have yet to get a car of my own. Do you happen to know a place where I can get one or rent one for the time that I'll be here?
Uh, if you take this taxi down to Northgate, I believe they have. Um, there's a little Chevy dealer there. That's where I got my car. Down on the south end of town, there's a big tire plant. And down there, there's several dealerships if you're looking to buy. And I think there's even a car rental place down by the hotels. That'd be up on the north part of town. I think that's where your hotel room is, if I'm not mistaken.
That's actually very, very convenient. I appreciate that, Susie.
You should be able to rent a car there. You might even be able to walk over and do it tonight. Let's see, it's about 5:25. Yeah, I'd say they'll probably be open till 9 o'clock, honey.
And Susie, as a sort of as a thank you for waiting for me, stop by Kulani's Jewelers, and we'll get you a nice discount on a new set of earrings for you.
You can actually see she does wear quite a bit of jewelry. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll be sure to use that. Well, darling, that just turns my whole day around. You
I'm
know I
sorry for
love my
taking it.
earrings.
The ones you have
And
are really nice, but we'll hook you up with something really
oh, thank you.
particularly
You
nice.
know, I got them at some kind of fancy place downtown, and probably overpaid for them. You know how it is. And then as you're making this small talk, you can see your ride pulls up. And Susie
They're here,
follows you
Susie.
outside. Yeah, she follows you outside. Honestly, it seems like that maneuver has completely reconciled this whole issue with her. She seems like she's happy now. Um, she walks you to the taxi cab. All right, you have a good night now, Miss Kulani. And
You
she
too,
walks
Susie.
over and gets in, admittedly, a not so nice looking Geo Prism. A little
Ooh.
white Geo Prism. Yeah.
Ooh.
And she putts off down the mine road, and then your neon sign changes to occupied, and your driver takes you down this long, fancy road through the estates. Uh, Vince's car you can see parked at one of the really nice houses. Not one of the biggest, not the biggest, certainly, but he's in that neighborhood, and you can see that it's his car parked there. And so you can immediately figure out which one's his house. You would say that he's living someplace as nice as you would expect for a business owner of his kind, but he could be doing better with millions of dollars to pay for it,
Yeah, that's very interesting.
to even
He
stay here in
doesn't.
town.
Hmm,
Uh,
okay.
Poor guy, I guess. Poor rich guy.
I mean, shit. You should see the prices of houses in Texas and what you get for it.
Especially in 1993.
For a man
Probably
who just
only-
got $10 million, he doesn't seem to be exuding the high life that I would expect.
Well,
For
he
a
does have a whole
68-year-old.
He does. It's a whole. He's got a whole company to pay for. Anything you want to do in town?
I think I do need to get a car. But we don't have to roleplay that.
Where were you looking to go? Do you want to rent? Do you want to own? Used car
I
lot
do.
on the south side, new cars on the west side, or rent one right next to your hotel.
I'll rent one next to my hotel, and I'm actually hoping to get a motorcycle.
Oh, in that case, they will not rent you a motorcycle. That is not something that they can offer you. If you want a
Well,
motorcycle, you're going to have to go to the used cars on the south end, and they may have something at Northgate, out on the nicer part of town where there's the new Chevy dealer. But insight would say the Chevy dealer is not as likely as the used cars downtown or down on the south side of town.
Down to the slums.
I don't think we talked about what Cronus drives.
Black Cadillac.
Black Cadillac.
Oh, so this man's got
Uh,
some money.
Similar to what Vince drives, as a matter of fact. So you are, I assuming, Kai, going to wind up on the south part of town?
I mean, if it's going to be such a bother, then I might as well. Not. Um, I might as well just buy a nice premium vehicle, whatever that is.
So you're just going to like rent a town car?
I think so. Yeah.
Let's say they'll get you like an Impala or something like it. Just a four-door sedan. A newer luxury car, but it's
Sure.
rental.
Sure.
So we'll say this is going to cost you $15 a day out of your per diem.
Can I talk that down?
Go for it. This one will be a persuasion, not a finances, unfortunately.
Hi, Kalani, more like Mr. Krabs.
No, I don't do it.
No, they want $15 a day.
You drive a hard bargain. $15, I will pay.
Honestly, you can just knock that off your per diem if you want, for as long as you have the rental car. Cronus, make me a finances roll, please. This is just what you happen to have in your pockets.
What is that again? Survival?
Yeah, survival. Oh, you got $50, my dude.
Okay.
But you can also fill up your Cadillac for a full tank for like $19. So
Yeah, he got the Cadillac while things were still good. He's currently his only source of income is basically he's a private investigator.
which, by the way, that was written on his card, at least.
Also paranormal investigator.
Yeah, there you go.
Ah,
Got him.
yeah.
Got him.
There's the big bucks.
Hooked. There's the hook. So Cronus, it's a little later for you. Anything you want to do after you sit down and try and call your wife?
Um,
We'll say it's about 8 p.m.
I'm gonna go to a diner that I usually go to. That I usually just go there and I eat some food and get some coffee.
This one is on the way back to Midland proper. It's at the extreme south end of Midland, past the oil facility. There's like a small refinery that's even south of the tire facility. It's just south of the kind of crummy part of town where Conrad's garage would be. But
Okay.
if you keep going south along that road, there's a little diner.
Okay.
It's actually a place your family liked to stop at whenever you guys would take trips into Midland from South Midland.
Okay. Um, I'll order like a club sandwich and some coffee, and just kind of like read the paper, look and see if I notice any missing persons cases, anything out of the ordinary. Also on my drive there, I would also want to like check to see if I see anything that's abnormal.
On the roads,
Yeah.
nothing that strikes your eye in terms of seeing anything.
Okay.
And your waitress is Connie. She's older black lady, about let's say 60 years old or so. Kind of a metallic gray afro. She likes to wear her hair in.
I
Hoop
love her already.
earrings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be great. Connie is a sweetheart. Oh hi baby.
Hi, love.
Same thing. Freshen up your coffee.
Yeah. You got the paper for the day too? I want to look at it.
Oh, I'll always have your paper ready, baby.
Alrighty.
She goes up to the front and pulls open the little slide drawer under the host stand, pulls out a newspaper, walks it back to you. She's also got a pot of coffee. She kind of holds it at hip level as she pours it. She's poured 1,000,000 cups of coffee in her lifetime.
Keep them coming.
Oh, I always do. You gonna be here all night again?
Probably.
Okay, well, you and that phone and that paper, you just whistle you want a light.
Sure
Uh,
will.
you know that Connie comes by and lights your cigarettes for you. You also know she keeps a bottle of hooch back behind the bar for when it's really slow, and
Hey, now.
she's more than keen to pour some in your cup of coffee. Truth be told,
By the
she'll
end of the
tell
night,
us.
she knows I will.
Oh yeah, and you tip her very well at the end of every night too. And she also is the kind of person who will sit and tell a raunchy story with you. And you've done this a number of times. She flirts with you, but she's a 60-year-old lady and she's got a husband at home, so you never really take it too seriously. But tonight there's other patrons, so she's trying to keep up appearances. She hasn't pulled out her bottle of hooch and doesn't want to say anything too racy around these nice folk. Comes around, brings you your hot breakfast that you like this late at night. And I think we'll jump back to the rest of the crew.
Okay.
Sans Kai. You guys have had a freaky apparition, and you have gone back over the contents of Mike's truck. Anything you folks would like to do from here? You can go your separate ways. You can make arrangements to return the truck. You can investigate the pot further. You do have internet here in your garage.
Shit, we
So-
living.
You got internet, so
got
if
satellite
you want
TV
to
too?
maybe do some researching, you can do that too.
Yeah.
If that's the direction you want to go. I'm gonna give you guys problems. I'm not gonna give you all the solutions. So if you got ideas,
Does the garage shop happen to have like a landline or like a phone? Something I could maybe ask Conrad to use for a quick second. Maybe check out this business card that I now have.
Yeah, it's up in the office over here. I'll unlock it for you. Oh.
Thank you.
Lead her up to the overhead office box.
okay. You set her up on the computer, I assume.
Yeah, because she needs the landline phone, so they'd be tied together.
Wee-oo.
wouldn't know this. That's before my time.
Because you're a fucking
Sorry,
child.
guys.
Yeah, I know, that's trust me, that's a part of the fun.
Sorry, guys.
You your disbelief was something I was really looking forward to.
Is it a rotary phone?
No,
I know how to work a rotary phone.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
really?
Yes, really.
Where'd you
Oh,
learn that?
Bandcamp?
Why would
Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
Wait, I don't know if that's a movie reference or like if you're just clocking me as a band kid, because I'm gonna be offended either way, because I don't
That-
get the movie reference, but I'm also gonna be offended if you clock me as a band kid, because you're absolutely right
She
too.
knows rotary phones, but she doesn't know American Pie.
Right. All I'm going to say is that can be all of the things you just said, and it can be
I'm
all of
really
them meshed
hurt.
together in the most wonderful way.
I am so hurt.
I'm so glad that I pegged you as a band kid and capitalized so hard on it right there.
Oh, right.
Moving on. I'm
Oh.
offended.
So, what is it you would like to research on the internet?
I mean, she's
I
using the
will-
phone.
Oh, the
I
phone.
can't.
Yeah. I was just gonna try to call the number on the business card, but I assume
Oh, okay.
it might have been busy if he was calling his wife at about that time.
I'd say that's pretty fair. It does get to an answering machine, a voicemail. We'll say it's a voicemail that Cronus has set up, even though I'm not 100% sure that there were cell phones with voicemail in 1993, but I could be wrong. We're gonna allow it because why not?
It works.
So you get Cronus's answering machine.
I'll leave a quick message and say,
Before you
gotta-
do, I'm gonna challenge Ben. Ben, what does your answering machine say?
Thank you for calling Harmon Paranormal and Private Investigators. Please leave your name and number, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Hey, Mr. Harmon, I'm that weird old lady you saw at the at Dr. Cooper's office. Listen, you think you could meet me there sometime tomorrow around I don't know, 10:30 in the morning? I got something kind of weird from my husband's truck. Something about glitter, and it's green and it's glittery. I don't know. Anyways, I hope to see you there. Have a good night. Hang up the phone. Or
As you're sitting down enjoying your breakfast, your phone doesn't go off, but you happen to pull it out as you're trying to come up with a contact. You do find an ad in the paper that's someone who is trying to reconnect with their child who went missing about 16 years ago. And they had found some kind of public tax record that they still exist, and they were willing to contact anyone who would be willing to help them. And you pull out your phone as if you're going to dial the number listed on the ad, and you notice that there was a voicemail left on your phone, and you just didn't get the notification because you were leaving that message for your wife when it came in. So it's only because of fate that you missed this message, but you play it back and you hear Elise's message.
And it's
I
like
wish I
what
had
you said. It's
recorded it
like
because I could just play it back for you, which would be an awesome DM
That would be
technique.
great.
But I wasn't prepared. I'm sorry.
and you said it's like 10 o'clock at night right now, right?
We'll say you left your house at 8 with the sun low in the sky and starting to turn things kind of a dusky taupe color
Okay.
out here in the dry part of Texas. And by the time you have your hot food, your second cup of coffee, and Connie is off dealing with another set of customers, is when this happens. I'm going to say this is 9 o'clock.
Okay. So yeah, I finished my food, and then as Connie comes around, I asked her for a cup of coffee to go, but I asked her to make it special.
Okay, honey, I got your walk me down. Don't worry. You're going back tomorrow night, right?
I just got a voicemail on my phone. I might have some work, so we'll see.
She comes back by. She's still got the coffee on her hip. She bends down and gives you a kiss on the cheek.
Oh, thank you, dear.
You know from experience it's a $10 meal and coffee.
Mhm.
And she won't charge you for the hooch. And you can see she goes back and fiddles with something behind the counter, or she goes back into dry storage to dig up a cardboard coffee cup for you. Comes back, fiddles inside the counter a little bit, and then pours you a cup of coffee, special, and brings it down and sets it on the table. And she's looking at the table like this is where you would normally leave the $10 for her.
Mhm.
Plus tip.
I leave 20.
She loves it. As always, loves it. Go ahead and subtract it from your total.
Okay.
I assume everybody's keeping track of their own money, so I don't want to have to do that. But then you get up to go, and Connie thanks you and goes back to what she's doing.
I go ahead and walk out, and I head home and try to get some sleep since I'm getting up early in the morning.
Okay. Is anyone wanting to do anything else tonight?
I'm
Or
gonna
we call it a night.
I'm gonna hit Ace up and let him know, hey, I was paid to diagnose this. I did my job. I'll put her back together, get her roadworthy. Tell your boss to pick it up tomorrow. Call it noon, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I'll let him know. Oh, Elisa's still there, right?
Yeah, I assume she's still up making phone calls. Probably you would, because you know that something that Vince wants you to do is to look after Elise and make sure she doesn't get in any trouble. You probably have followed her in to make her phone call. So you've heard her leave this message. So you at least know that in addition to seeing a weird sparkly ghost, now she's calling some kind of paranormal investigator about it. So this is something you're going to have to probably tell Vince that's happening, is this development. At least you may remember, and Ace, you would also remember that something Vince had said to you was that there was some voodoo nonsense that Mike had mentioned to him that he had pulled out of the safety deposit box.
That was Ace's first thought next time for Vince.
So, guys, it's 11:27. If you want to call it at the end of this night, I'm game. Also, we got a half hour. So if you want to talk about what we do tomorrow morning, we can dig into that a little bit, or we can call it right there.
I mean, we could jump to the morning of, and
That's what I was thinking.
Drive over to the garage.
Elise, is that where you wanted to meet?
I
your
was-
hired investigator.
I had said Dr. Cooper's office since that was like the one
Oh, gotcha,
shared
gotcha.
location that we had. I wouldn't know if he knew anywhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go to Cooper's office.
But just outside. Maybe don't go in. She might.
So you call her
What
back,
me?
I assume.
Yeah.
You call her back at 10:30 when she asked, or 10. She asked you to meet at 10:30, but you can call her back beforehand to make other arrangements if you'd like. Is why I'm suggesting that. If we're going to skip to the following morning, before we get there, Conrad, I assume you want to do some more digging or something before the night's over, or do you want to call it an early night and sleep in the garage with the pot and the freaky apparition and all that?
Wait, she didn't take the box with her?
Yes, I did. I would have taken the
Okay.
box.
Like,
All right. So
hold
she
up.
takes the creepy shit with her. So
Yeah.
you're just going to bed. Ace, you don't have anything else to do tonight. You got any plans?
Well, I mean, I got to reassemble the truck.
You
Okay.
said noon tomorrow, so you got time.
Yeah.
That's what you'll be doing in the morning.
Well, I have a plan.
Or you can do it tonight if you want.
Yeah, it's only like a 3 hour job at most. Yeah, I'll slap it together real quick, and I will
Go ahead and
actually replace the parts.
roll me up a mechanical skill. Absolutely, you do it in the 1 hour. So let's say it's a little after 9.
Fuck your flat
And you
rate
have it all put
times.
back together. I'll even give it to you that you don't just put the parts back in, the busted ones. You replace them with functional parts. And actually the truck will probably be ready to run absolutely tomorrow. It would theoretically run tonight, but there's no reason to hurry it back to her.
Yeah.
I assume she's left. Okay.
Hope so.
Ace, would you like to also have left?
Yeah, just make sure that she had all of Mike's things and leave.
Okay. Are you going back home for the night, Ace?
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to bother Vince this late.
No,
So I
he
just
wouldn't
go,
like that.
yeah, so I just go home and wait for him for the first thing in the morning.
You gonna go out to a bar or anything like that?
Not after seeing the random green voodoo shit.
Okay, that's fair.
That's like the perfect
Go
excuse
home
to
and
get
pray.
drunk.
That's why you go to the bar.
Right.
Did I not have any at home?
You can go home and drink yourself silly if you want.
That's why Cronus got some hooch in his coffee.
I imagine Ace would have a nicely stocked liquor shelf.
Show does.
I mean, kind of clothes he's wearing, that man definitely knows his way around a bottle or two.
Oh yeah. Maybe even a cigar. Kai, you want to hit the pool before you go to bed?
For sure. And, remembering what my dad said about trying to be social and whatnot, I'm going to go down to the hotel bar, assuming that there is one.
Oh, I wish I
And
planned for this. This is delightful.
now I'm just gonna look at the people that are there, mumble under my breath land dwellers, and I don't think so, and then go back to my room.
Fantastic. So you guys wake up the next day. Pretty eventful day the first day, but Elise, you got nowhere to be and nothing to do. So you're gonna go ahead and go straight to your meeting. Cronus, I assume you wanted to call her first.
Mm-hmm.
Have at it.
I
What
dial.
time? Sorry,
Like
Rachel.
9.
Okay. So your home phone goes off, Elise.
Hello?
Hey, this is that weird guy that we talked outside of Dr. Cooper's office.
Oh, yeah, you gave me your business card.
Yeah. You want to give me some details?
Uh, yeah, I can. But it might be. It might be easier to show you. You know,
Okay.
I mean, we could still meet up at Dr. Cooper's office at 10:30 if you wanted, or I mean, you could come up to my house. We could meet up at a diner somewhere. I live around the area, so I'm familiar. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the.
What was the name of that diner, Brent?
I sure do not remember. I don't think I gave you a name. It's
Yeah,
just like
Okay.
Connie's or
We
waitress.
can just
We're gonna
Yeah.
call it
It's Connie's.
roadside.
Connie's, yeah.
Connie
Connie's.
does not own
We'll
this
go to-
place.
Yeah.
Connie's does not own this place. Connie just works the night shift. We're gonna call this roadside breakfast.
Okay. Are you familiar with roadside breakfast?
Oh yeah, I've been there once or twice.
Okay, you want to meet there
Yeah.
and get some coffee
Mhm,
and talk about it.
Okay. But I mean, basically, there was just some green, sparkly glitter stuff that came out of this weird vase I found in my husband's truck. Never seen it before. I get the weirdest little feeling about it. You'll probably know what I'm talking about when I bring it. You'll see it and take one look at that and want to throw it into the river.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely take a look at it and see what's going on.
Alright.
I'll meet you there at 10.
All right, I'll see you there. Bye.
Bye.
Ace, Conrad, anything you guys want to do about this time in the morning?
I'm just waking up, grabbing my usual breakfast, a bagel or a piece of toast, something quick and easy. Got the truck put together, so I gotta get some gas for it. Is there any gas stations or like place I can get gas?
Oh, there's one across the street, my dude.
All right, cool. I'll grab my quick little 5-gallon can and just walk over there, grab 5 gallons gas real quick, come back and fill her up.
Fantastic. Truck's running. You can call somebody, let them know that the truck's ready. You can call up to the industrial mining company who technically owns the truck, but You can also give it to Elise. She's allowed to resume possession of it.
Um,
She had kind of implied last night that she would probably take it back at some point.
yeah, but I need paid for this. I don't think Elise is gonna pay me for that.
Actually, the mining company will wire the money to you as soon as you let them know you're done.
All
I
right.
assume you fill out a paper report, which is
Yeah,
what they
like
really want.
I'll do that the morning so I got downtime while I eat. Just put out real quick. Issues: blown fuel line, blown fuel pump, uh, leaky fuel tank. All other parts and pieces seem to be in decent condition. Replaced damaged pieces, reassembled, build her up, runs fine. And then, oh, I can fax that. Oh, we'll be a
Oh,
professional
you sure
businessman.
can.
I will fax that to Baker Industrial Headquarters, and then once that's done,
Wow.
I'll give Elise a call.
Within 5 minutes, your bank account would be updated to show that you have been wired your $500 payment, crisp and clean. And there is a note attached to this payment that says, thanks, hyphen, Vince.
Yeah, all right. I will tear up the fax and just toss it in the trash. Don't give a shit about it. Um, and I'll call Elise, let her know, hey, ma'am, truck's good to go. Got her some gas to get you guys where it needs to go. But all good, ready for your pickup. Looks like boss man already paid for it, so whenever you got a free moment.
Ace, you would be expected back at Vince's office around 10 o'clock. He's taken a couple other appointments today, but they're mostly with managers and other people who work inside the company. Nothing, no outside agents of any kind, so nothing you really need to stay present for. Would you like to report anything to Vince?
Yeah, I would just report that she got Mike's belongings, the status of the truck, and then after that, ask exactly what Mike was supposed to go pick up.
Okay, yeah, well, the day before he went missing, um, Ace, there was a safety deposit box um, at West Texas Continental Bank on the west side of downtown. And there was a safety deposit box that I had shared with a former associate who fell into disrepute in town. And so I had never tapped that potential line of income, but I was led to believe that there would be some. And so when I got desperate, I'm not proud of it, I got desperate and I sent Mike down to recover that. But all he ever told me is that it was some kind of practical joke, some kind of hoodoo nonsense. And given the reputation of my former associate, uh, that didn't seem too far off the mark to expect that that would be the case. And near as I can tell after that, Mike went home to Elise and he was due in here in my office, like all the managers are, for his meeting. And he didn't turn up. Now, we love Mike, so we didn't say much about it. Um, but we did call his home looking for him at about noon because the boys wanted their ride back to the mess hall for lunch. And normally Mike would have picked him up to take him from up one. Up one being one of the two shafts that leads into the ground. He picks up miners at up one, which is the first floor up. There's two down and two up. So when the miners arrive at the exit, they're at up one. And Mike picks them up and drives them over to the mess hall for their hour break. Noon. And when he didn't turn up for that, even though he hadn't turned up for the manager meeting, Vince got worried, had called back to Elise, and that's when the missing persons report had begun.
Can I see if Vince is telling the whole truth, or if he's just acting like he doesn't know what the voodoo nonsense is?
That'll be some insight, please. There is maybe more to the story of his former associate that would be worth investigating, but in terms of him telling the truth, certainly he's telling the truth. He's not lying to you. There's just extra pieces that he doesn't seem to think are particularly relevant. Would you like to ask any specific questions, any line of reasoning you'd like to take this investigation check down with Vince?
I just asked to see if I could get any information about his former associate, like a name or what he did before, or what kind of business it was, or
So,
what he did that made the business between them go south.
with your 21 insight check, you can tell that this line of reasoning makes him pretty uncomfortable. He sweats a little bit. And he clickety clacks at his computer for a second and then turns, opens a drawer, and pulls out a couple of pieces of paper, flips through them, sets them face down on his desk next to his keyboard. He says, Father Francis Plum. He was an inventor when I knew him. When I first came up from Alabama, he and I had discussed maybe working on a joint venture for a construction project he was doing down in South Midland. You may have heard of the geothermal power plant that never took off. Frank is what I called him when I knew him, but his name was Francis Plum. Professor of engineering, kind of a genius, very charismatic fella, big, strong as an ox, and he had come up with this idea for the geothermal power plant and made a whole bunch of money selling the patents. And he had one built down there in South Midland, and it never did work out for him, mostly on account of all the people who come out to help him run that plant. He got in their minds that he was some kind of prophet, and they started up a little cult, you may say, but to all appearances appears to have been a pretty ordinary Christian following, you know, that new age scientific Christian nonsense. And from there, things took the classic turn. Bills quit getting paid. People weren't turning up for the rest of their lives. And then when they shut that place down, the bills ran out, the lights went out, and the cultists trickled out. What few of them remained. Many of the people who were part of the cult never did turn back up, as far as anyone knows, but no dead bodies were ever found, and nothing seemed particularly out of the ordinary, except one of the bodies that's never found was Frankie. As they called him Father Francis Plum, is one of the missing people. And back when he was still selling his patents, he had set up this joint account and given me this safety deposit box and said if ever I was in deep financial trouble, what was in it might pull me out of it. And it wasn't long after that that he got involved in all that hoodoo, and I never did want to open it again. You're more than welcome to go down there and check it out, but from what Mike told me, the only thing in the safety deposit box was a practical joke.
Mike didn't actually describe anything, just said it was a practical joke.
That's all he said. Then he went home to his beautiful wife, as expected. Nothing ever seemed to come of that. But then when he didn't show up the next day, we had to call her. And she hadn't seen him either. And the rest you know from the police reports, Ace. You think do you think this practical joke had anything to do with Mike disappearing?
Not
Ace?
sure, but it's worth looking into. There is a weird voodoo shit thing in his possessions in the truck. She opened it and these green lights came out. So I'm hoping that it doesn't happen like the rest of the police reports.
What do you mean, Ace? So, what weird voodoo shit are we talking about right now?
I'm guessing it was maybe in that deposit box that Mike went to pick up. There was some fucking jar with a bunch of hands around it and a duck coming out of it. And she pulled off the duck's head, and green lights started coming out before she slammed it closed. Want to make sure that we're not cursed or nothing.
A jar. I think, well, that does fit Mike's description of some weird voodoo shit. You said there was a light show?
Yeah, some green lights or something. It didn't last long 'cause she closed the lid, but seems like a more than a practical joke.
Practical joke. So, do you think that this thing she opened, this jar, had something to do with Mike disappearing? Was it like the monkey's paw?
I hope not. I really hope it's a joke.
Well, Ace, go on after it. I'd say whatever it is you got the scent of, you can chase that right to the ground. That you might be onto something. I'd say keep digging. Now, if let's say this Plum, I knew he was an inventor, and this geothermal power plant was something pretty special. What if this pot that you say she had with the ducks in it? Let's say I don't know. This is not a practical joke. What if he was trying to hurt me and he thought me opening it would take me out somehow, and it just so happens that it's Mike who's gotten it. Make me an insight check. Of course, that's what Vince is going to say. Of course. Because while it doesn't appear that Vince meant anything malicious, you can say, he definitely knew that this was a possibility and he deliberately sent Mike to do this. He didn't want to open it himself, whatever it was, but he did want to see whatever it was play out.
That's probably what I would have done.
Yeah, thanks for throwing me under the bus right there. I'm dead now.
Okay. So, anything I can help you with in your investigation, Ace? Oh, that music played at the perfect time. I'm so pleased.
That was a little let's see. I think that's all for now because he knows everything else, right? He saw the truck be ready for pickup, already paid the thing.
Uh-huh. In fact, you probably were present while some of this was happening, while they
True.
were making their faxes back and forth. Of course, it would have been Susie who took the fax. Probably Susie who even made the payment, if you were to guess.
After all that, I would probably just head out and go back to the. Well, no, because I would go to the garage. To the garage. That's where I heard them make the phone call. I didn't hear them change the location, right?
That's fair. You also other options you have. You could potentially go check out the deposit box, or you could do some digging into the geothermal power plant. That would be an option.
Yeah, that's actually a better play. I'd probably go research the power plant or whatever news clippings there was.
Okay. In the meantime, Kai, you also have a whole breakfast situation. I believe you wanted to go back and see Vince. Is that right? I'm not sure there was a reason for that.
I don't really know what reason I have for being here, to be honest. I mean, I already secured the deal and got the gold for my family. I don't care about getting jewels. So, I mean, I said I would like a tour, but I don't really know why.
You. It's a pretty ordinary tour. Vince gets somebody else to take you around. He shows you the chem lab, which is like a 3-story building. You see Chuck again. They have equipment they use specifically for testing the quality of the ore. They also have some gem cutting stuff, although that's really not their specialty. That's just to increase the odds of a sale of some kind of jewel they happen by. Um, yeah, they're churning the silver and gold out.
Is there
Uh,
a reason why this is 50-50 silver and gold, where it's so unusual that that actually happens?
it's just this particular mining operation, the gold that it pulls directly out of the rocks. Like I said, it's not chunks of gold in a vein. They literally use dynamite to blow up whole big chunks of this hill and melt it down, and the gold that comes out of it is half silver.
So it just is.
Mhm. If you're curious about it, as it so happens, there is a Permian Basin Petroleum Museum here in town. This part of Texas is built on an inland fault line. So, this is what happens when tectonic plates get pushed against each other, and there's a thin spot in the middle of those plates. When they move, these thin spots in the middle crunch, and it's what causes there to be kind of like a small fault line here in Texas. This is also true, by the way. This is true geological formation of this part of Texas. Is there's this small little fault line, and they don't really get earthquakes. What they do get is they get gases, they get geysers, sometimes that sort of thing. So
Oh.
this area is somewhat geothermally active, and that's probably what leads eventually to this area being useful for gold and silver. You can find out more about the geology at the Permian Basin Petroleum Museum if you are so inclined. Also, there's a Kai Kulani, or there's a Kulani Jewelers here in town, and your father had suggested you check it out at least. That's
I
something
I
else you can
I
do.
I do know that I have to stop by the jewelers, A, because Dad told me to, but and B, to also let them know that Susie needs a discount. Um, but I feel like I would like to know where the gold is coming from. So I'll go to the jewelers after I do a quick tour of the museum, I guess.
Okay. Um, we won't touch the Permian Basin Petroleum Museum just
Leave.
yet. We will save that for next episode. It is late. Would anyone like to do anything before we call it? Any last minute requests?
Would like.
Um,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't think that there's time for me to check out the pot.
No, we'll get into that next time. Because I'd say good odds it's going to wind up being opened. And that will require a good chunk of our next episode.
Cool.
All right,
I'm gonna
you
open it.
guys, thank you very much. This has been episode 1 of the Recollections of Yig. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And thank you, wonderful players. What'd you guys think?
I thought it was great.
Great.
It's like a
I-
TV show.
I hope you guys are enjoying it. Yeah, TV show actually suits it really well.
I can't wait to do my hilarious thing I want to do. It involves combat, and I'm gonna see how many people pick up on it.
I can't wait. I'm super excited, especially considering I wasn't sure how soon we were going to get to combat, but it sounds like we're probably going to get to combat pretty much first thing next session.
But what
Oh,
are we
shit.
fighting? Twinkling
What?
green lights? Like,
The
Surprise,
thing in the
bitches!
pot.
I'm unleashing a demon into this Texas town.
I was
Opens a
gonna
pot.
fucking punch
It's
Brian or
Kraz.
something.
Find out next time.
Oh,
Kraz!
I quit. I quit if it's Kraz.
Kraz, you've been
You do
locked
it.
in a pot and sent across time. I mean, honestly, it should be Tia. She's the one who won the battle royale.
This is for your
real
crimes
reward.
against Babus.
You
will
You
pay
did behead
your
your very
sin.
own friend.
Beheading's such a
Not
strong
friends
word.
anymore.
More like
No,
relieved her headache problem.
I mean, she was dying anyway, so really removing her head was like a mercy stroke.
What? You
In
couldn't
my
have let me
defense-
die just on my own in one piece. I had to be like partially
There's no
Split?
partial. Like it was just clean.
splitting up the gang.
Guys, for fun, before we totally close, you can end the stream if you'd like.